Kicked out of the wealthy family for brought rebirth. Having you as a sister is my biggest regret, Jennifer. The next thing Jennifer knew, she was flying through the air, then crashing down the stairs. Everything hurt. Looking up through the pane, she saw Daniel, her youngest brother, glaring down at her from the top of the staircase. Maybe this will teach you a lesson, he spat. Remember, Sarah's mom saved your worthless life. Jennifer's eyes widened in shock. She recognized that line all too well. This was 3 years ago, at Sarah Campbell's birthday party. Now, it looks like she had gone back in time and been reborn. She remembered that at this party, someone had framed her, making it look like she had pushed Sarah. So Daniel, without a second thought, had shoved her down the stairs himself, claiming she needed to feel Sarah's pain. She had tried to explain, but no one listened. Reflecting on her past life, Jennifer wanted to laugh at how pathetic she had been, doing anything to keep her so-called family happy. She even agreed to marry some guy on his rebirth deathbed, just to help her oldest brother's business. And what did all that loyalty get her? Nothing but betrayal. It was always the same story. Sarah's not feeling well, you should let her have your room. You know, the one with all the sunshine, that boy you like at school. Sarah's got her eye on him, so back off. Sarah needs a kidney transplant. Her mom saved your life, remember? So you should give her your kidney. It's not like you'll die or anything. Every time in her previous life, she'd given in and did what they asked. And in the end, they threw her out like she was nothing, left to fend for herself as everyone turned their backs. Now, lying on the cold floor, bruised all over, Jennifer realized that the physical pain was nothing compared to the heartbreak of being cast aside by her own family. But this time, she was determined to change things. She gritted her teeth, wiped the blood from her mouth, and pushed herself up. Her eyes were filled with a fierce determination she'd never felt before. Daniel saw her defiance and was furious. Jennifer, are you deaf? I told you to apologize. Right now. Before she could answer, Sarah spoke up, her voice weak and rebirth face pale. Please don't blame her, Daniel. Jennifer's already been punished enough by falling. I'm fine, really, you too kind. This isn't the first time she's done something like this. Today is your birthday and she still tries to ruin it for you. She has to apologize in front of everyone. Their oldest brother, Asher, shook his head at Jennifer, clearly disappointed. Sarah never picks fights with you, yet you keep going after her. This time, you even tried to hurt her. How could you? He didn't want people to think Jennifer was mistreating the daughter of her supposed savior. That Sarah's eyes filled with tears. Asher, please don't say about Jennifer. Maybe it was silly of me to think staying with the Hargreaves meant I belonged here. Jennifer, I really don't want to take anything from you. I just want a place to call home. Please believe me. With tearful eyes and a delicate frame, Sarah looked like the picture of innocence. The people around them were quick to point fingers at Jennifer, their words sharp with criticism. Standing there alone, Jennifer felt she was stranded in an endless, empty desert. She glanced at the coat Sarah was wearing, and with a strained voice, she said, I was wrong. Rebirth, she'd been wrong to care so much about these ungrateful people. This time, she wouldn't make the same mistake again. See, I told you she was doing it on purpose. You just wouldn't listen, but now she's admitting it herself. Daniel sneered, smug satisfaction radiating from him. Jennifer could only scoff at him. Asher's face twisted in disappointment as he shut his eyes, his voice cold. Jennifer, I really thought better of you. Daniel spoke again. Jennifer, if you're going to apologize, at least do it properly. How about giving that necklace to Sarah as a gift? Let it serve as both your apology and compensation. Before she could even respond, Daniel gestured for the servants to bring over a jewelry box. When Jennifer saw what was inside, her lips curled into a bitter, mocking smile. Angelina Clark gifted the necklace to Jennifer when she had been engaged to her grandson, the sickly heir, Timothy Clark. It was an antique, worth a small fortune. Sarah had often expressed envy over the necklace, even asking to borrow it more than once, but Jennifer had always refused. In her past life, after Daniel shoved her down the stairs, she was rebirth, so scared she would do anything to make him happy, even give up the necklace. She didn't want to, but she agreed to give it to Sarah to keep Daniel calm. Later, Angelina found out and tried to get the necklace back for her. But Daniel lied, saying Jennifer owed Sarah a lot of money, and used the necklace as collateral. Jennifer was too scared to speak up. After that, Angelina's attitude toward her changed for the worse. So this time, Jennifer wouldn't give up the necklace. Jennifer stepped forward and picked up the necklace, holding it up in front of Sarah. Do you like this? She asked, her voice dripping with disdain. Under the lights, the diamonds on the necklace gleamed brilliantly. Sarah's eyes sparkled with greed. This was the most valuable thing Jennifer had, and Sarah was determined to take it for herself. But putting on a fake smile, Sarah refused in the most insincere way possible. Jennifer, which girl doesn't like beautiful jewelry? I already talked to Daniel, but he wouldn't listen. Don't feel pressured to apologize with this. After all, just staying in the Hargreaves family is the happiest thing for me. How could I ask for more? Rebirth. Her eyes were rimmed with tears, and her expression was one of false humility, as if she were the picture of grace and understanding. Daniel turned his glare toward Jennifer. You should give it to Sarah as apology gift. Don't drag this out. If Sarah's mother had hesitated when she saved your life, you'd be dead by now. Write your comment at gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought cheap necklace. Jennifer gripped the necklace tightly in her hand. The weight of its memories was suffocating. She remembered the time she was kidnapped as a child. The nanny who tried to save her had died. Afterward, Asher had brought Sarah into the family, and since then, Jennifer's nightmare began. Every time Sarah got hurt, the blame was placed on her. Sarah had been jealous of Jennifer's success in getting into graduate school, so the family made her give up her spot. And when Sarah needed a kidney, it was Jennifer who was pushed onto the operating table. The pain from those memories twisted in Jennifer's chest, making it hard to breathe. At first, she'd treated Sarah like family, but little by little, Sarah had taken her place. Jennifer had always been obedient, done everything for her brothers, and even sacrificed herself, but in the end, she was discarded. If they all thought Sarah was the better sister, maybe she should. Cheap necklace. Be wise to step aside. Asher came to Jennifer, his tone soft yet firm. Jennifer, you made a mistake, but at least Sarah isn't holding it against you. She's kind-hearted. Be grateful for that. I know this necklace is important to you, but why not give it to Sarah now? I'll make it up to you later with something else. All right. Jennifer's lips curled into a cold smile. No. The necklace was a special gift from Angelina, not something she could just give away. And no matter what, her brothers had no right to decide what she did with it. Daniel, unable to hide his anger, stepped forward, jabbing a finger at her. Jennifer, what's wrong with you? You nearly killed Sarah, and now you won't even apologize. Her mother saved your life, and this is how you repay her. Asher was deeply disappointed. He couldn't understand how his once obedient sister had changed so much. Jennifer stood straight, her voice calm but cutting. Daniel, you're right. Without saying another word, she snapped the crystal necklace off her neck. This is the most valuable thing I've ever had. It's been with me for so long. I hope this shows enough sincerity. The necklace was a prize from a singing competition Daniel had. Cheap necklace won. It marked the start of his music career. It used to mean everything to her, but now, she didn't care anymore. Daniel's expression changed instantly when he saw the necklace. He couldn't believe it. What's this supposed to mean, Jennifer? This necklace had always been her most treasured possession. It wasn't worth much, but it held deep personal meaning. She even wore it to the banquet today, and now she was just handing it over. People around them started murmuring, that thing looks like it came from a street vendor. How could she think this is enough? Yeah, it's a cheap trinket. How's this supposed to replace a priceless gem? There's no sincerity at all. Daniel's face darkened. You don't get it. It's not about the price, it's about the meaning. Some things can't be bought. The crowd fell silent, not wanting to upset him further. Sarah feigned shock. Jennifer, this was the most meaningful gift Daniel gave you. How could you just give it away like that? Are you sure you're okay with that? Inside, she was disappointed. She didn't care about this cheap necklace, but she couldn't let that show. Cheap necklace. Jennifer smiled coolly. Of course, I'm okay with it. Didn't Daniel say I should show sincerity in my apology? Isn't this enough? Unless you're not okay with it. Daniel was nearly seething. You can't apologize with re-gifts. Jennifer raised an eyebrow. But didn't you want me to give out the necklace Madame Clark gifted to me? I thought you wouldn't mind. Daniel was left speechless, his gaze turning to Asher. Asher let out a deep sigh. Honestly, I don't think Jennifer did anything wrong. He knew how much that crystal necklace meant to her, and it was obvious she was sincere in her apology. Daniel's anger flared even higher. His gift was cheap, but it meant something to him, unlike Angelina's extravagant necklace. Family bond wasn't something that could be measured by price. Jennifer took a step forward, addressing Sarah directly. I know this necklace might not be worth much, but it's meaningful to me. Don't tell me you're going to turn up your nose just because. It's not some expensive piece. Sarah froze. She hadn't expected Jennifer to offer a cheap necklace as an apology instead of the extravagant one she'd been kicked out of the wealthy family for. But she left. Jennifer handed over the necklace, and all eyes were on her. Sarah forced a smile, trying to sound casual. Oh, I wouldn't say I dislike it. It's just, well, this crystal necklace has special meaning, since Daniel gave it to you. I don't feel right accepting such a meaningful gift, especially as an outsider. Why wouldn't you? Aren't you part of the family now? Daniel isn't petty. He won't mind, Jennifer said. Before Sarah could protest, Jennifer looped the necklace around her neck. There, it looks perfect on you. Congrats on getting even closer to our family. Sarah was fuming inside. She had been expecting the diamond necklace from Jennifer, not this cheap trinket. The situation felt all wrong, and now Jennifer was rubbing it in. Her eyes flicked to Daniel, who was simmering, and quickly she kept quiet. Instead, she turned to Asher with a sweet, practiced smile. Asher, I'm really happy. I know this necklace isn't expensive, but it means the world to me. Jennifer's smile was sly. Well, I hope you take good care of it then. You wouldn't want to lose it, would you? She left. Sarah clenched her jaw but didn't say anything. Inside, she was seething. Asher, seeing their tension case, let out a relieved sigh. It's good to see you two getting along. After all, we're family. Jennifer, don't forget, her mother saved your life, so it's only right we treat her well. Sarah quickly added, Asher, don't worry. I understand. Jennifer's just young and worried I might take her place. It's okay, I don't hold it against her. Asher looked at her fondly, appreciating her maturity. Compared to Jennifer, who often acted on impulse, Sarah was a breath of fresh air. He turned to Jennifer. You could learn a thing or two from Sarah, Jennifer. She's so generous, so mature. If you could pick up even half of that, I wouldn't be so worried. Jennifer felt a bitter irony settle in her chest. But she was too drained to argue any longer. With a soft, resigned sigh, she said, You're right, Asher. I was too blind before. I won't make that mistake again. She wasn't going to make the same mistake as the fool who gave everything away. Jennifer put on a carefree smile. Well, I'm off to see the doctor. You guys continue. She left. She limped upstairs, her face unreadable, her heart heavy. Asher watched Jennifer leave, a vague discomfort settling in his chest. She seemed different somehow, though he couldn't exactly figure out why. Jennifer had always been stubborn. For her to apologize so easily just now didn't feel like her at all. Daniel snorted in frustration. Asher, don't let that girl fool you. She's just playing a game to make us feel guilty. Asher sighed, a tired look in his eyes. I just hope she doesn't stay so stubborn. Sarah hesitated, then softly said, Daniel, I really can't accept this necklace. It's too precious. I don't want any conflict with Jennifer over it. Daniel's frustration flared. He clenched his teeth, barely holding back his anger. It's fine, just take it. Let's see how long Jennifer keeps up act. He still couldn't believe that Jennifer would truly give up the necklace. Sarah lowered her head, playing the obedient part, but inside, she couldn't hide her relief. She left. She didn't want to wear this cheap necklace, but she knew she had to. Seeing how obedient Sarah was, Daniel grew even more frustrated with Jennifer. Sarah, you need to rest and recover, so that small room isn't suitable for you. Have Jennifer switch rooms with you. He still hadn't forgiven Jennifer for giving away his gift, and now he wanted to make sure she learned a lesson. Sarah hesitated. Daniel, that's a little much. Don't you think? But inside, she was grinning. Asher sighed, thinking that since Jennifer had already acknowledged her mistake, it only seemed right for her to give her room so Sarah could properly rest and recover. After all, she could always switch back later. Jennifer limped back to her room, wincing with every step as her ankle throbbed in pain. But the ache was nothing compared to the emotional wounds she'd suffered in her past life. The butler knocked on the door, his voice polite but firm. Mr. Daniel Hargreaves has asked that you switch rooms with Ms. Campbell. Your room has better light, and it would be more she left comfortable for her while she recovers. Jennifer's face remained neutral. In her past life, she had been asked to do the same. With a humorless smile, she replied, Fine. I'll pack my things. After the butler left, she quickly gathered her belongings and left the villa. The party was still going on, the lights glowing brightly, but it all felt like a distant world to her now. She had made her decision. It was time to leave the Hargreaves family behind for good. The car ride was quiet. The driver glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Where to? She paused, realizing she had nowhere else to go. Then, an idea struck her. Take me to King Villa. That was the home of her fiancé, who was ill and said to be dying. But no matter how powerful the Hargreaves family was, kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought kicking her out. Jennifer stood there with a calm yet commanding presence, her expression unshaken. The bodyguard picked up his walkie-talkie and said a few words in a low voice. Moments later, the butler Ryan walked out, clearly surprised to see her. Ms. Hargreaves, what brings you here so late? Is something wrong? I'm here to be with my fiancé, Jennifer said matter-of-factly, as if it were the most natural thing in the world. Ryan froze, caught off guard by her bluntness. She casually touched her nose, then continued, Didn't Madam Clark want me to build a connection with him? You know, maybe have a baby. How else am I supposed to make her happy if we don't live together? Ryan hesitated, glancing nervously toward the second floor. Jennifer followed his gaze, though she couldn't see anything. She assumed Timothy was likely up there. Indeed, Timothy sat by the window in his wheelchair, looking down at the woman outside. Jennifer's evening bruised. She looked a mess. The assistant spoke quietly. Sir, we heard there was a birthday party at the Hargreaves family tonight. It was for the adopted girl. Ms. Hargreaves must have had some kind of conflict and left home. Timothy's face remained expressionless. Tell her to leave. He wasn't running a charity here. The assistant quickly passed on his message to Ryan. Ryan, after receiving the news, turned back to Jennifer with an apologetic smile. Ms. Hargreaves, Mr. Clark prefers to keep his distance from people he doesn't know well. Perhaps you could find a hotel for the night. Jennifer's lips curled into a knowing smile. She understood what was being implied. So Timothy was still as heartless as ever. But this time, she wasn't going anywhere. Clearing her throat, she suddenly raised her voice. Help! My fiancé is kicking me out. Is that how little I mean to him? Ryan's eyes widened in panic. Ms. Hargreaves, please don't make a scene. This really isn't necessary. Kicking her out upstairs, Timothy's brows furrowed in irritation, his cold demeanor only sharpening. The assistant cautiously spoke. If Ms. Hargreaves continues making a scene, Madam Clark might hear about it. Maybe it's better to let her in and see what she wants. Timothy shot him a cold glance. You really know how to handle things. With a flick of his wrist, he turned his wheelchair away. But the assistant smiled to himself, knowing Timothy had tacitly agreed. Soon, Jennifer was led into the villa's spacious living room. She glanced around, taking in the cold, minimalist design. It felt empty, lifeless. Honestly, it was her first time here at King Villa, and she wasn't impressed. She sat down on the sofa, but no one bothered to acknowledge her presence. Her stomach growled loudly, and her eyes drifted toward the table full of fruit and snacks. Looking around to make sure no one was watching, she quietly snuck over and grabbed a piece of fruit, then a pastry. Kicking her out after eating a few, she carefully put everything back just as she found it, trying to cover up her little snack. Suddenly, she heard a cough. Startled, Jennifer jumped up, wincing as the pain shot through her injured ankle. She looked up and saw Timothy sitting in a wheelchair. His features were sharp and perfectly chiseled, his expression cold but strangely composed, as if he were made of stone. She hadn't seen much of him in her past life. Even though they were engaged, she had spent more time with his grandmother than with him. The man was distant, hard to read, and always seemed to be in a bad mood. Swallowing her nervousness, Jennifer steeled herself. Mr. Clark, I just need to stay for a few days. Don't worry, I won't cause any trouble, and I won't do anything inappropriate. As soon as she spoke, she felt the temperature in the room drop. Timothy's cold eyes locked onto her, and he said nothing. Jennifer felt herself squirm under his intense gaze. Finally, he spoke in a low, emotionless voice. That's not why you're really here. Kicking her out, Jennifer Forito, she hadn't get told your UT, as quickly as he hit her lip hour could do. Tovar is put for a trust door madam book told king about us, and I'm redo, ll come home artem do bug you. If my bok like things are paragoffsing between us, and the won't keep pressing. What do some hind? The command was sharp and final, craving no room for discussion. Jennifer realized the situation had taken a turn for the worse. She hadn't expected Timothy to be so difficult to handle. Before she could even speak, she was swiftly kicked out of the villa. Standing at the door, she let out a long sigh. All right, I can tell him the truth. Ryan came out, casking and Hargas, Mr. Clark exhaled. Be difficult times. It's later mo mela try a guy Scanfer, without any clog, too small house ale yard. Kicking her out, Jennifer froze. She hadn't expected him to figure her out so quickly. She bit her lip but couldn't back down. I swear, it's just for a few days. Madam Clark keeps asking about us, and I'm sure she'll come here soon to bug you. If I stay, it'll look like things are progressing between us and she won't keep pressing. What do you think? Ryan, show her out. The command was sharp and final, leaving no room for discussion. Jennifer realized the situation had taken a turn for the worse. She hadn't expected Timothy to be so difficult to handle. Before she could even speak, she was swiftly kicked out of the villa. Standing at the door, she let out a long sigh. All right, I can tell him the truth. Ryan came out, looking awkward. Ms. Hargreaves, Mr. Clark could be difficult sometimes. It's too late now. Maybe try again tomorrow. Jennifer, without anywhere else to go, noticed a small house in the yard. Kicking her out, her eyes brightened. I'll just make do and stay there for the night. Ms. Hargreaves, you can't. That's the doghouse. Write your comment at gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought taking everything back. Taking everything back. Jennifer glanced around, surprised that even the doghouse was so luxurious. Ryan cleared his throat. Mr. Clark has a wolf dog, but it's out for a checkup today. Oh, I don't mind, Jennifer replied, planting herself right in front of the little house like she had no plans to leave. Ryan sighed, defeated, and left. As soon as he was gone, her playful look disappeared. She massaged her swollen ankle, wincing from the pain. Pulling out her battered old phone, she idly scrolled through social media and paused at a post from Sarah. Best day ever. I finally have a family. The photo showed Sarah smiling alongside Asher, Daniel, and a group of friends. A wry smile tugged at Jennifer's lips. Her phone suddenly rang, and Daniel's angry voice burst through. Jennifer, where did you run off to? Just because we gave Sarah your room, you think it's fine to storm out like this? The little hope Jennifer had left faded completely. Taking everything back, she tried to hang up, but her phone froze and left the call on speaker. Jennifer, Sarah's injury is your fault. You're responsible for her. Besides, her mother saved your life once. You'd better not forget that. Jennifer's voice was steady, with a hint of frost. I'm at the hospital. The hospital? Daniel scoffed. For a minor sprain. Sarah's injuries are worse than yours, and she didn't run off making a scene. You're just trying to gel sympathy, aren't you? You think we'd fall for it? Jennifer's ankle throbbed, and her chest tightened with frustration. She took a sharp breath, losing all patience, and cut the call. Glancing up, she stared into the endless night sky. Her gaze drifted to the window on the second floor, a bitter realization settling in. As always, he was exactly as she remembered from her past life, cold, unpredictable, and indifferent. Even as his fiancée, she was left to sleep in the doghouse, and he didn't seem to care in the slightest. Meanwhile, on the second floor, Timothy stood by the window, taking everything back, his grandmother's firm voice echoing over the phone. Timothy, I heard Jennifer came to see you. You'd better not drive her away. If you do, I'll move in tomorrow and stay with you both. With a sigh, Timothy hung up and looked down at Jennifer, stubbornly refusing to leave her spot by the doghouse. He had overheard her earlier phone call and guessed that she was here to escape some trouble back home. His assistant, trying to be subtle, cleared his throat. Sir, Ms. Hargreaves is your fiancée. If word gets out that she's staying in a doghouse, well, it wouldn't reflect well on your image. Not exactly gentlemanly, if I may say so. Since when have I ever cared to be a gentleman? What if Madam Clark finds out? Irritated, Timothy finally muttered, Fine, arrange a room for her. Right away. The assistant knew he'd give in eventually. Soon enough, Jennifer saw the front doors swing open and Ryan stepped out. Ms. Hargreaves, please follow me. Taking everything back, her eyes lit up as she hobbled over. So, Mr. Clark agreed to let me stay. I wouldn't know about that. But Ms. Hargreaves, I must remind you, please don't wander around and avoid getting too close to Mr. Clark. He values peace and quiet. Any disruptions and you'll be shown the door again. Understood. Ryan led her to a modest room on the first floor, probably meant for staff, but she felt relieved. It was miles better than the doghouse. As she settled onto the bed, her mind began to churn with plans. If the Hargreaves family didn't value her, she had no reason to keep giving. She would take back everything she'd given before she left them for good. Her thoughts turned to Daniel's album. She'd already written the lead track, but hadn't handed it over yet. In her previous life, he'd dismissed her song, choosing one by Sarah, only for that track to flop. Later, the song she'd written went viral, but Daniel had given Sarah credit, launching her into fame, while Jennifer, the true taking everything back writer, remained invisible. Jennifer recalled it all, her expression hardening. This time, she'd never let them take advantage. She'd rather sell the song herself. The next morning, Jennifer woke up early, checked her phone, and saw nothing. Not a single person had even noticed she hadn't come home. Shaking off the sting, she forced herself up, ignoring the pain from her ankle, now swollen like a bun. She hobbled into the hall and spotted Timothy at the dining table, eating breakfast in absolute silence. The servants moved around him like shadows, not a single sound breaking the stillness. Jennifer paused, watching him. He sat tall, composed, radiating an elegance that seemed almost otherworldly. She had never seen a man look so effortlessly poised. And yet, his injury was a painful reminder of life's cruelty. Sensing her presence, Timothy set down his fork and fixed her with an intense stare, so sharp it made her catch her breath. Taking everything back, she could feel the weight of his gaze, like he was reading her every thought. His voice cut through the silence. What's the real reason you came here? Jennifer's eyes didn't waver. I want you to kicked out of the wealthy family for brought The invitation. As Jennifer thought back to her tragic end in her previous life, she shuddered. There was no way she'd let that happen again, but with her powerful elder brother collaborating with the Clark family, his influence would only grow stronger. She had to dismantle his advantage now. She faced Timothy and stated firmly, "No matter what I say, you're not going to buy it. But you're only partnering with the Hargreaves family because of my engagement to you. So doesn't that give me a say in ending it?" Timothy raised an eyebrow, his expression cool. "That reason sounds pretty childish." His tone made it clear he thought she was just acting out over family drama. Jennifer knew he'd be hard to sway, but she wasn't in a rush. Calmly, she replied, "I'll prove it to you soon enough. I'll stay here for a few days, and when the time is right, I'll personally cancel the engagement and explain things to Madam Clark. You won't be inconvenienced." Timothy slowly wheeled himself closer, his imposing presence filling the space even though he remained seated. The invitation. Without a word, he handed her an invitation card. "Don't be late." One look at the card and Jennifer instantly recognized it. The upcoming event was a renowned music charity gala, and Jesse Martin, a famous music producer, would be there. In her previous life, Daniel had been discovered by Jesse at that same event, which catapulted him into stardom. But why was Timothy giving this to her? His assistant leaned over and explained, "Ms. Hargreaves, the Clark family is one of the event sponsors. Mr. Clark isn't fond of public events, so as his fiancé, it would be best for you to attend on his behalf." Jennifer caught his drift. If she was going to stay here, she'd need to earn her keep. She nodded. "Got it." Despite her calm demeanor, a thrill stirred inside her. In her last life, she'd dreamed of attending that gala, hoping to make connections in the music industry. But Daniel had taken Sarah as his +1, leaving her out in the cold. For the invitation. Clutching the invitation, Jennifer let her mind wander to the past, so much so that she lost track of her injured ankle. Suddenly, she stumbled forward, right into Timothy's lap, landing with perfect awkwardness between his legs. Rumor had it that Timothy hadn't just lost the use of his legs in the accident, but had also been left incapacitated. Yet, from her rather close vantage point, that didn't seem entirely true. Getting a good look. Jennifer's cheeks flared. "Sorry. That was unintentional." Awkwardly, she scrambled back onto her good foot, wobbling slightly. Timothy's eyes swept over her swollen ankle and the bruises on her arms. After a moment, he looked away and spoke to his assistant. "Get her a doctor. She shouldn't be limping around making us look bad." Eric nodded, quickly arranging for a doctor. Before long, Jennifer found herself in a wheelchair with her ankle in a cast. She hadn't realized her injury was that serious. The invitation. Sitting in the luxurious yet understated car provided by the Clark family, Jennifer headed straight for the charity gala. Her phone chimed, and it was a message from Daniel. "Get the new song ready ASAP. I can't delay my album release for you." Glancing at the message, she couldn't help but smirk. In her past life, she had poured her heart into a song that catapulted him to fame, only for him to give the credit to Sarah. When she later tried to claim her rightful authorship, no one believed her, dismissing her as a jealous copycat. With a calm expression, she shut off her phone, opting not to reply. Today, she intended to make connections with the music industry's elites, and would not let anyone stand in her way. "Oh, Jennifer. I didn't expect to see you here." Jennifer looked up to see Sarah dressed in a pristine, white gown that practically glowed with innocence. She replied coolly, "Just here to enjoy the evening." Just then, Daniel hurried over, his brow creased in disapproval when he saw her in a wheelchair. "Jennifer, this isn't home. You ain't just show up wherever you please." The invitation. "Tonight's event is by invitation only, and I'm taking Sarah ast my guest. You should head back." Sarah stepped forward with an angelic look, softly insisting, "It's all right, Daniel. Jennifer came all this way even with her injury. Maybe I should sit this one out." "No, we can't have Jennifer causing a scene tonight. Sarah, you're with me." Without another glance, he offered his arm to Sarah and led her onto the red carpet, leaving Jennifer behind. Sarah cast a fleeting apologetic look over her shoulder, but made no further protest. Jennifer, unfazed, maneuvered her wheelchair forward, overtaking them with calm resolve. Annoyed, Daniel quickened his pace to catch up. "Jennifer, you're taking this too far. They're checking invitations at the door, and I won't cover for you. If you get kicked out, that's on you." They reached the registration desk, and Daniel, ignoring her, handed his invitation to the attendant. "We're together." He turned to Jennifer with a smug look. "See, you don't have an invitation, so just leave. Stop making a fool of yourself." With a steady gaze, Jennifer raised her chin. "Who said I don't? Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought I'm his fiancé. Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought I'm his fiancé." Jennifer couldn't help but feel a surge of amusement. She was his real sister, yet every time an opportunity like this came up, Daniel always ended up taking Sarah with him, as if forgetting about her altogether. Jennifer, I'm warning you again. Daniel's voice lowered, tinged with annoyance. Don't cause trouble. Ignoring him completely, Jennifer casually pulled out a red invitation and slapped it down on the table. With a smirk, she said, "Isn't this an invitation?" Daniel froze, his eyes widening in disbelief. Impossible. Where did you get this from? He knew how hard it was to secure one of these invitations. The Hargreaves family had barely managed to get one. If there were more, he would have brought Jennifer along. The staff member glanced at the invitation, clearly puzzled. This is an invitation from the Clark family. May I ask your relationship with Mr. Clark? Without a hint of hesitation, Jennifer replied, I'm his fiancé. His fiancé. Daniel was even more stunned. You got an invitation from him? Yes, she said coolly. He doesn't care much for these events, so I'm attending in his place. Is there a problem? Sarah quickly chimed in, feigning concern. Jennifer, we all know how difficult Mr. Clark can be to approach. You didn't take the invitation without his permission, did you? Be careful, you don't want to get into trouble. Everyone in the Hargreaves family was aware that Timothy wasn't particularly thrilled about the engagement. It was something his grandmother had arranged. Daniel frowned, feeling uneasy. Jennifer, just answer me honestly. Did you steal this invitation from him? If you've offended him, what will happen to our family's business dealings? Oh, Daniel, don't be too hard on Jennifer. She probably just really wanted to attend this event and got a little carried away. Jennifer's gaze darkened. I didn't steal it. He gave it to me. I might believe you if you said it was Madam Clark who gave it to you, but Timothy himself, he wouldn't bother with you. Who's going to believe your story? Believe whatever you want. I'm his fiancé. With that, Jennifer turned her wheelchair and headed toward the main hall. Daniel sighed, shaking his head. If only she were more like you, sensible and understanding. Then maybe I'd take her to more events. He didn't think he was being biased, and he just believed Sarah had more grace and composure. Sarah smiled sweetly. Don't worry, Daniel. We'll explain things to Madam Clark later. She couldn't hide the smugness in her eyes. Inside the hall, Jennifer spotted some familiar faces. Jesse, the renowned music producer, was surrounded by a group of people, all eager to network. Daniel, with Sarah in tow, soon made his entrance. To Jennifer's surprise, Daniel pushed her wheelchair away from the crowd, directing her toward the refreshment area. Stay here and eat something. Don't go looking for trouble. She watched him walk off, a cold smile playing on her lips. It was clear he didn't want her to cause any problems. Daniel approached Jesse with a business card in hand. Mr. Martin, I'm Daniel. It's an honor to meet you. I'm his fiancé, Mr. Daniel Hargreaves. The pleasure is mine. You're quite talented among the new generation of singers. And this must be your sister. Wind is a fantastic song. You both have a lot of talent. Daniel froze, taken aback by Jesse's praise of Jennifer's song. He opened his mouth but didn't explain anything. If Sarah was recognized by someone like Jesse, it would be a huge opportunity for her. Sarah didn't deny it, instead flashing a gracious smile. Thank you, Mr. Martin, for your appreciation. I hope we'll have a chance to collaborate in the future. Just then, Jennifer rolled up to them with a knowing smile. So, you're all here. In her previous life, she had watched as Sarah's rise was fueled by the resources given to her by Jesse, all starting from this moment. Slowly, Sarah had begun to take everything that was meant for her with a smile that didn't quite reach her eyes. She asked, Daniel, why didn't you tell Mr. Martin that it was me who wrote Wind? Write your comment at gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for bro. Putting him on the spot. Jennifer's eyes gleamed with a hint of sarcasm, and the room fell into an uneasy silence. Jesse blinked, clearly caught off guard. Wait, you wrote that song? I thought it was Daniel's sister who wrote it. Jennifer responded nonchalantly, yes, that's right. I'm Daniel's sister, Jennifer. Jesse glanced at Sarah, visibly puzzled. Then who is she? I thought the Hargreaves family only had one daughter. She's the daughter of our family's maid, Sarah. My brothers treat her like family though. Sarah's face flushed a deep red. She hated being reminded of her true background, especially when she had been pretending to be part of the Hargreaves family. Before things could escalate further, Daniel stepped in. Enough, Jennifer. Sarah's mother saved your life. Don't forget that. I haven't forgotten, but you want to credit Sarah with the song when it's clear she didn't write it. Isn't that a lie? What happens if the truth comes out? How will Sarah handle that? Putting him on the spot. Daniel's face darkened. Shut up, Jennifer. He hadn't expected her to drop this bombshell in front of everyone. Sarah, struggling to keep her composure, spoke up softly. Jennifer, you've misunderstood. I was planning to explain things to Mr. Martin privately. I never intended to steal the song. Sarah, there's no need to explain yourself to her. Daniel then addressed the room. Sorry, everyone. My sister's been a bit upset lately. Please forgive her. Jennifer, why don't you go get some food while we talk? Jennifer knew exactly he was trying to get rid of her. Her voice rose slightly, challenging him. You don't need to apologize for me, Daniel. You should be telling Mr. Martin about Sarah's work. The song you released recently. It was written by her, wasn't it? Daniel stiffened. His latest single had been a complete flop, attracting a storm of criticism from fans. That was why he was so desperate to meet Jesse, hoping he could help him salvage his image. Putting him on the spot, Sarah, clearly uncomfortable, could barely hide her embarrassment. Jesse, sensing the awkwardness, turned to Jennifer. I thought Mr. Daniel Hargreaves' debut single was well received. Didn't he let you write this one? Daniel said Sarah would be writing all the new hits. She's very talented. I fully support it. After all, with our family's resources, she's bound to go far. Right, Daniel? Daniel's jaw tightened. He had never said that Sarah would write all the future hits. He had only let Sarah try once, but there was no way he was going to stake his career on it. Sarah, sensing the tension, quickly tried to smooth things over. Jennifer, I know I can't compare to you in talent. Daniel has already done so much for me. I really don't have the right to keep writing his singles. Jennifer's smile remained, but her words were pointed. Sarah, don't understand my family. Daniel would never stop using your songs just because one didn't work out. Wouldn't you, Daniel? She smiled sweetly, knowing she was putting him on the spot. For years, she'd been trapped by their moral high ground, but now that she was fighting back, they couldn't handle it. Chapter puffing him on the spot. Daniel, cornered, could only mutter, you're right. Even though Sarah's song didn't turn out well, her future is still bright. Jennifer clapped her hands slowly. Sarah. Even Daniel agrees. Why don't you thank him for his support? Sarah's face froze in a tight smile. It was clear that Daniel was not happy, and she had walked right into Jennifer's trap. Sarah managed to say, Jennifer, I'm really thankful that your family took me in, so I can't ask for too much. And thanks for saying all that for me. Daniel, visibly relieved that Sarah hadn't agreed publicly, let out a breath. With an air of calm indifference, Jennifer turned to Jesse. Sir, I'm Jennifer Hargreaves, the original composer of Wind. I didn't expect you to be so young. I heard Wind is part of a series. When can we expect the next one? It's already done. It's called Rainy. She sat back in her wheelchair, her demeanor calm but unwavering. In her previous life, Daniel had won the Best Singer award with this very song. Putting him on the spot this time, however, she wasn't going to hand it over to him. Jesse, now clearly impressed, turned to Daniel. I look forward to hearing your new song, Mr. Daniel Hargreaves. As the charity auction began, the crowd started to move toward the venue. Once most of the guests had left, Daniel approached Jennifer. So all of this was to get me to use your new song, It gifts kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought the power of money. Jennifer didn't want to answer, but before she could say anything, her wheelchair was suddenly stopped, leaving her completely unable to move. She narrowed her eyes, clearly annoyed, but kept her face calm. You're misunderstanding. Didn't I just help introduce Sarah earlier? You call that helping? Jennifer, you were clearly jealous that I brought Sarah to the event, so you snuck in with an invitation. Just to stir things up. You're just trying to stop her from outshining you, aren't you? Sarah added, Jennifer, you can just say it. How could I possibly steal your spot? Daniel sneered, Jennifer, I see through your little scheme. Just send me your new song directly, and I'll put it in my album. Happy now? Since Jesse had already taken an interest in Jennifer's new song, Daniel had no choice but to include one of her songs in his album. Jennifer smiled, no need for that. Didn't you just promise to have Sarah write your next hit song? You can't back out now. She wasn't about to give him her new song. The Power of Money. Who said I'll use your song as the main single? Don't get too ahead of yourself. I've already compromised. Don't push your luck. Daniel scoffed. He knew Jennifer hadn't changed one bit. You should reflect on your actions here, he said before turning and walking off toward the auction with Sarah. Sarah feigned concern. Is it okay to leave her out here all alone? It's fine. Jennifer snuck in with an invitation. She doesn't even have the guts to enter the auction. She's broke. Later, take the paddle and bid on lot 1 donated by Jesse. Sarah's face lit up with surprise. Thank you, Daniel, but you know I don't have that much money. Though she lived with the Hargreaves family and never worried about food or shelter, she didn't have any savings. The items at the auction were often priced in the millions, far beyond what she could afford. Daniel waved it off casually. "You think I'll make you pay? You're silly." "Thank you, Daniel. You're the best." Sarah beamed, her voice sweet and obedient. The power of money. Daniel thought of Jennifer, who was always difficult and rebellious. That was why he preferred giving opportunities to Sarah, to show Jennifer that being obedient would get her rewards. When the auction started, Jennifer wheeled herself into the hall. Instead of taking a seat in the front row, she went all the way to the back. A waiter approached her. "Ma'am, here's your bidding paddle." Jennifer glanced at it. "Thanks, but I don't need it." She had no money, so she couldn't afford to bid anyway. "This is Mr. Clark's arrangement. You're here representing him. If you see anything you like, just bid on it." "Really?" Jennifer looked at the paddle in her hand, feeling a bit overwhelmed. It almost felt like she was holding a credit card, one she could swipe at will. She suddenly felt the power of money. As she looked up at the items being auctioned, she knew that love painting had been donated by Jesse. Daniel would likely the power of money buy it to ingratiate himself with him. Jennifer maneuvered her wheelchair down the aisle toward the front while Daniel and Sarah were seated in the second row. Daniel furrowed his brows. "Jennifer, didn't I tell you to wait outside? What are you doing here?" "Daniel, since Jennifer's here, so let's sit together." Jennifer smiled and politely declined. "No need, I have a seat in the front row." She bypassed them, heading straight to the best spot in the center of the first row, marked Timothy's name. As expected, the Clark family, being the hosts, had the best seals. Once settled, Jennifer glanced back at Daniel and Sarah, then calmly turned her attention back to the stage. She then turned her attention to the stage, her expression calm and collected. At that moment, her phone buzzed. It was a message from Daniel. "This isn't the place to act out. If you cause trouble, don't expect anyone to clean up after you." Jennifer glanced at it but didn't reply. The power of money. Daniel, still scowling, muttered to himself, "I have to tell Asher about this. We can't have her causing problems and angering the Clark family." Sarah, watching from her seat, felt a twinge of jealousy seeing Jennifer in the front row. After all, only people with status got those prime seats. But then, she remembered that Jennifer had only gotten the seat by using her engagement to a dying, crippled man, which made her feel slightly better. The auction quickly got underway. When item number 15 came up, as expected, Sarah raised her paddle to bid $160,000. The starting price was $1,000, so she only added an extra $10,000. Since only Daniel knew the connection to Jesse, there was no fierce competition. A few others chimed in, but Sarah raised the bid $1,000 without hesitation. As the host called for final bids, Jennifer calmly raised her paddle. $250,000. Sarah's face immediately darkened. Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought no backing down. After Jennifer called out her bid, the room's attention instantly shifted toward her, their eyes filled with curiosity and gossip. Everyone had just figured out who she was. Sarah bit her lip, clearly uncomfortable. "Daniel, if Jennifer really wants it, I can stop bidding." "No, she's doing this on purpose. Keep bidding. Don't back down now." Sarah hesitated but then raised her paddle again. $260,000. $300,000. Jennifer's calm voice sounded. Sarah's face went pale. She now confirmed Jennifer was doing it on purpose. Daniel gritted his teeth, frustration making him snap. He squeezed Sarah's hand and raised the stakes. $400,000. $500,000. $600,000. No backing down. $700,000. After calling out her bid, Jennifer glanced back at Daniel and Sarah, her smile laced with challenge. With his temper flaring, Daniel, unable to let her have the last word, blurted out, $1 million. The room went silent for a moment. $1 million for a painting like this was excessive, even by the standards of such auctions. Sarah, basking in the attention from the crowd, feigned innocence and turned to Daniel, playing the role of the sensible one. "Daniel, why push the price so high just to make Jennifer angry? She thinks she can keep bidding, thinking the Clark family will back her up. But I'm not going to let her get away with it. If she bids again, I'll stop. Let's see how she explains this to the Clark family." Daniel was determined to teach Jennifer a lesson. Sarah nodded, her eyes gleaming with anticipation. She was eager to see Jennifer's defeat. The host, sensing the tension, asked if anyone would place a higher bid. No backing down, but Jennifer had already put down her paddle. She was done playing games. $1 million once. Anyone else, Daniel, convinced that Jennifer would try to outbid him, waited for her to call a higher price. $1 million, twice, 3 times, sold. Daniel stood there completely dumbfounded. Jennifer didn't bid again. Sarah, stunned, glanced at Daniel and murmured, "Daniel, is she really trying to force us to pay this high price just for a laugh?" She couldn't believe Jennifer would give up at this point. Daniel finally realized he'd been played. His grip on the paddle tightened, his face flushing with anger. He thought, how dare she? Does she think I won't get mad and cut her off for good? Jennifer felt the weight of the stairs behind her, but all she did was curve her lips into a small, satisfied smile. It was clear Daniel was fuming. No backing down. The auction soon came to a close. As soon as Jennifer looked up, she saw Daniel storming toward her, his face flushed with anger. Jennifer, do you have to compete with everything Sarah likes? Are you really that petty? The thought of having spent so much money on a painting made his temper flare. Jennifer couldn't help but laugh. It was clearly Sarah who had been trying to take everything from her. She gave a small smile. Daniel, you've got it all wrong. I was actually planning to buy that painting as a gift for Sarah. The higher the price, the more it shows how much we value her. Don't you think? Or is it that you can't part with $1 million? Daniel was momentarily taken aback. He did feel like that million was a bit of an overpayment, but he quickly recovered, trying to hide his discomfort. $1 million is nothing to me. Exactly. It's all for charity, right? It's a win-win. Her words were so sharp that Daniel couldn't argue back. He just stood there, staring at her, feeling like she was a no-backing-down completely different person. Right then, Jessie walked over, smiling brightly. Mr. Daniel Hargreaves, thank you so much for your support tonight. I hope to hear you sing Rainy soon. With you and your sister performing together, I'm sure it'll be a hit. Daniel gave a stiff smile. Of course, but my sister here is a little spoiled. She likes to joke around too much. Jennifer turned to Jessie with a playful glint in her eye. Could I get your contact info? Of course. I'm looking forward to your new work. Sarah stood by, completely ignored. Her resentment simmered. She couldn't do anything except smile sweetly. One day, she'd make sure she had everything Jennifer had. Jennifer tucked her phone away with a satisfied smile. She had accomplished what she came for. She turned her wheelchair and started to leave, but just as she reached the door, she heard Daniel call out to her. Jennifer, make sure you send me that new song you've written tonight. Without turning around, she just kept going. Daniel stood there, fuming. Does she really think this will make me back down? No backing down, Daniel. Jennifer's just throwing a tantrum. You just need to calm her down. Hell no. Determined, he stalked after Eros. Jennifer reached the door. She noticed a crowd of reporters waiting outside. As soon as they saw her, they all jumped to their feet. She's here. She's here. Is she really Timothy's fiancée? A sudden sense of unease hit Jennifer. How did they know who she was? She tried to turn her wheelchair back, but Sarah stepped in her way, blocking her path. Jennifer, Daniel wants to talk to you. Sarah, move. Jennifer didn't want to get stuck in front of the reporters, but out of nowhere, her wheelchair started sliding toward the stairs. She stared at Sarah in disbelief. It seemed that Sarah was trying to push her down the stairs again. Thinking quickly, Jennifer grabbed the hem of Sarah's skirt. Both of them tumbled down the steps. No backing down. Jennifer's wheelchair careened down, and for a moment, she thought she was going to go flying. But surprisingly, the chair stayed upright. She didn't fall out of it and, to her amazement, came out of the whole mess completely unharmed. Jennifer, what the hell is wrong with you? Without warning, Daniel slapped her hard across the face. Write your comment. Gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought. Making her apologize. The sting of the slap on Jennifer's cheek hit her like a wave of heat. Daniel's face turned dark with rage. I can't believe you still haven't learned. You dare to lay a hand on Sarah again. How did I end up with such a malicious sister? Jennifer lifted her eyes lazily. I didn't push her. Then what exactly happened? I saw it with my own eyes. You tripped and yanked Sarah's skirt on purpose. Don't think everyone's blind. At that moment, Asher arrived, rushing over to stop the reporters from getting too close. He quickly helped Sarah up, his voice soft with concern. Are you all right? I'm fine, Sarah said, her voice trembling, her face pale. Jennifer didn't mean to. She just lost her balance and grabbed my skirt to steady herself. We both fell by accident. I don't blame her. Daniel immediately jumped in, his voice dripping with accusation. Asher, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Jennifer's been throwing tantrums because she's jealous of Sarah. First she makes trouble at the auction, and now she's making her apologize, even hurting her. It's like she hasn't learned anything from what happened at the banquet. Asher turned to Jennifer, his expression dark with disappointment. Why are you doing this? Jennifer met his eyes, seeing the disappointment and hurt in them. For a moment, it felt almost laughable to her. He wasn't fully on Sarah's side yet, but she knew that would change soon enough. He'd be just like Daniel before long. She lowered her gaze, her voice cold and detached. You can think whatever you want. Daniel quickly added, Asher, see, she's admitting it. Asher's face tightened with disappointment. He had hoped this was just a phase, but it seemed like his sister was crossing a line. He gave her a hard look. Jennifer, apologized to Sarah. Jennifer stayed still in her wheelchair, her expression unreadable. What if I don't? Her voice was icy, like she was speaking through a wall of indifference. Asher's tone turned stern. If you don't apologize and continue acting like this, I'll cut off your credit cards and take back all the making her apologize resources I've given you. Daniel jumped in immediately. Asher, you should have done that a long time ago. Jennifer's hand rested on the arm of her wheelchair, her injured ankle throbbing. It wasn't lost on her that, since Asher arrived, not once had he asked about her pain. It was like her injury didn't even matter, only Sarah seemed to. A bitter smile tugged at her lips as she looked up, her gaze firm and unwavering. Whatever. She didn't care about family ties anymore. Without another word, she turned to leave, but the bodyguards blocked her path. She glanced over at the reporters standing nearby, an idea forming. Maybe she could use this to her advantage. A sleek black luxury car came to a stop by the side of the road. A young man in a sharp black suit stepped out and walked toward Jennifer. Ma'am, Mr. Clark is waiting for you in the car. Jennifer glanced up. Inside the car sat a man with sharply defined features and intense eyes. Making her apologize, it was Timothy, but Jennifer hadn't expected him to be here. She wondered if it had anything to do with her nearly costing him $1 million. Daniel walked up quickly, his tone furious. Jennifer, where do you think you're going? You think you can just leave without apologizing? No way. Sarah, her voice weak, interjected, it's fine. I'm okay. Sarah, you're too nice. Look at you, bleeding. She needs to apologize for what she did. Daniel couldn't understand why Sarah was always so forgiving. It was the reason Jennifer kept taking advantage of her. Meanwhile, Eric stood back, clearly stunned. He hadn't expected anyone to have the guts to block Timothy's fiancée. Asher stepped forward, trying to smooth things over. Mr. Clark, my sister made a mistake just now. She needs to apologize before we can leave. Timothy gave him a cold glance. What mistake could she have made? She tripped down the stairs and deliberately yanked on Sarah's skirt, causing her to fall, too. Making her apologize. Timothy's eyes narrowed. So you're saying that Jennifer, a woman in a wheelchair with a cast, intentionally threw herself down the stairs just to frame someone? Daniel stammered for a moment. She's not hurt that badly. She's just faking it. Eric cleared his throat and spoke up with certainty. Ms. Hargreaves' injury isn't fake. It's quite serious. That's why the family doctor recommended she wear a cast. Asher turned to look at Jennifer's foot, concern crossing his face. Jennifer, are you all right? Jennifer lowered her gaze, feeling a pang of bitterness. It was a little too late for concern now. Daniel wasn't convinced. But she fell down the stairs and her wheelchair didn't even tip over. That's not normal unless she's pretending. Eric spoke again, his tone calm. The wheelchair Ms. Hargreaves is using was custom made for Mr. Clark. It's specially designed to be shockproof and slip-resistant. It's perfectly stable. Asher frowned, still puzzled. Wait, Jennifer, did you visit Mr. Clark last night? Everyone had assumed Jennifer had stayed at a hotel out of anger, but now Asher was starting to doubt that. Making her apologize. Ms. Hargreaves is Mr. Clark's fiancée. She didn't interrupt him. Asher was surprised, glancing at Jennifer. He knew she had never been fond of Timothy, and the engagement had always been more of a business arrangement. To hear that she had gone to see him on her own made him wonder if she had done it just to make him angry. Asher's expression softened slightly at her injured foot. Jennifer, you don't need to bother Mr. Clark anymore. Just apologize to Sarah and let's go home, okay? Jennifer lifted her chin defiantly. No. Be right. Your comment. Kicked out of the wealthy family for broad hypocrisy, but Jennifer rejected Asher's request. Every time Sarah framed her, no one believed her explanation. Anyway, she would be forced to apologize in the end. They constantly threatened her with family ties. In her previous life, Jennifer constantly yielded and apologized to avoid her brother's disdain. But now, she wouldn't compromise anymore. Daniel's face darkened. Jennifer, Asher has backed off. Don't go too far. The marriage with the Clark family was originally an exchange of interests. Otherwise, who would be willing to get engaged to a disabled man with a short life expectancy? Even though Daniel thought Jennifer was willful, he didn't want her to live with a dying man. Asher softened his attitude. Jennifer, be good. Isn't it good to go home and live like before? Hypocrisy. Sarah limped over and said, Jennifer, don't be angry. I know you didn't mean it just now, so you don't have to apologize. Asher frowned. No, she should apologize. After all, Jennifer was wrong. No matter how generous Sarah was, she couldn't suffer injustice all the time. Otherwise, how would outsiders view the Hargreaves family? Asher believed he did this all for Jennifer's good. But Jennifer just thought it was ridiculous, for they still wanted her to back off anyway. She didn't care. Jennifer deadpanned. Still, I won't apologize. Daniel questioned loudly. Why don't you apologize? Because she is my wife. Timothy got out of the car in a wheelchair. The man was wearing black clothes with a delicate face and a distant and cold look. His appearance attracted almost everyone's attention. The reason was simple. His delicate face was so outstanding. Jennifer began to understand why all the girls in Kingstown hypocrisy regarded him as their mister. Right before he had the car accident. Because he was handsome and wealthy. Asher frowned and said, Mr. Clark, this is our family issue. Please don't interfere. Timothy narrowed his eyes and answered, she is Mrs. Clark now. You are the ones who shouldn't interfere. Mr. Clark, it was Jennifer who pushed Sarah down the stairs first and injured her. So why is she apologizing? Timothy's tone was very oppressive. Jennifer looked at the man beside her in shock. He actually defended her. Eric explained, what Mr. Clark meant is that Ms. Hargreaves would not do it for no reason, so it must be Ms. Campbell who did something wrong first. So Ms. Campbell should apologize. Daniel was indignant. What kind of logic is this? This is clearly bullying. Enough. Her stopped his brother because the Hargreaves family could can the Clark family. Hypocrisy. Asher stood in the front. Mr. Clark is right, there is probably a misunderstanding in this matter, so I want to take Jennifer back and make it clear. Mr. Clark, please don't stop us. After finishing speaking, he pulled Jennifer and said, let's go back first. Asher wanted to bring Jennifer back first and then discipline her. Jennifer must not mess with Timothy, or she would die without knowing how. Eric stopped Asher. Mr. Clark hasn't spoken yet. Timothy looked at Jennifer and said calmly, who do you choose to go with? Jennifer was slightly stunned. She took her hand back and said, of course I left with my fiancé. She would never go back to the Hargreaves family again. Asher's hands were empty and he was a little panicked for a moment. Jennifer, stop it and go home with me. She couldn't go with Timothy. Timothy was not a good person. Hypocrisy. Jennifer looked distant. Asher, I will come back when I am free. She left with Timothy. Asher wanted to chase after him but was stopped by Eric. Mr. Hargreaves, if you go any further, something unpleasant will happen. Asher suppressed his anger and said, what does Mr. Clark mean? The original engagement was just an exchange of interests, and we should live our own lives without interfering with each other. He can't take my sister away. Mr. Hargreaves, if you really care about Ms. Hargreaves so much, you wouldn't have ignored the injury on her foot and forced her to apologize. Eric was speechless. He had never seen anyone so biased. Asher was at a loss for words for a moment and could only watch Jennifer leave. He felt that Jennifer had changed a lot and he could hardly figure out what she was thinking. Asher was a little anxious. Daniel, we have to find a way to get Jennifer back. Asher, she did this on purpose to show us, just to make you worry so that you can go and beg her. Once she suffers from Timothy, she will come back naturally. Hypocrisy. A lesson was never remembered until it was tasted. Asher was still a little worried. Sarah deliberately showed the wound on her arm and said weakly, Asher, she is angry with me. How about I go and persuade her to come back? No, it's none of your business. Asher felt somewhat relieved when he saw that Sarah was sensible. He hoped Jennifer would learn her lesson soon, after suffering some hardship. How could Timothy really treat her as Mrs. Clark? In the meantime, Jennifer and Timothy had just walked to the front of the car. Both of them were in wheelchairs, so it was not very convenient for them to get in the car. Suddenly, a reporter rushed over and said, Ms. Hargreaves, it is rumored that you got engaged to Mr. Clark for money. Is there any special purpose for you to appear in a wheelchair today? Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought fight back. Jennifer saw the reporter's microphone almost hitting her in the face. And what this reporter said was also very offensive. Why did she appear in a wheelchair? What was the special purpose? This was clearly a mockery of Timothy for being in a wheelchair. Jennifer turned her head, looked at the reporter, and said, have you heard of couples outfits? We call this couple outfits. Just a trick between the couple. A family should be the same. After she said this, Timothy's eyes fell on her face, with an unfathomable meaning hidden deep in his eyes. The reporters were confused by this answer. Another reporter asked, Ms. Hargreaves, are your feet also disabled? Jennifer smiled and stepped hard on the reporter's foot with her other foot. The high heels pierced the reporter's leather shoes like nails. The reporter screamed. "Fight back!" Jennifer smiled harmlessly. "Okay, now you are the same as me. We should all be the same." After she did this, the other reporters took a few steps back, fearing that she would step on them again. They didn't want to get hurt. The reporter covered his feet and asked angrily, "Ms. Hargreaves, I heard that Mr. Clark has a hidden illness and cannot have sex." Timothy's face turned dark. Eric stepped forward and threatened the reporter. "I'm warning you, if you talk nonsense, you'll get a lawyer's letter." However, the reporter showed a smug look. Could it be that I was right? Jennifer couldn't stand the reporter's arrogance. Was it cool to step on other people's sore spots? She sneered and said shyly, "For this question, I can only say he's perfect. Mr. Clark perfectly meets my ideal type. He is excellent in every aspect." Ms. Hargreaves, you are lying. If your relationship is really so good, why don't you have any intimate interactions? Jennifer gritted her teeth, for this reporter was so challenging to fight back. Deal with. She directly took Timothy's hand and leaned her head on his shoulder. "That's because showing off our affection tends to lead to the end of the relationship. I'm low-key. What if someone else knows that Mr. Clark is so outstanding and comes to snatch him away?" When saying this, she was actually very nervous, because she knew that Timothy always hated people getting close to him. He was a misophobe and had a bad temper. She was afraid that he would shake her hand off on the spot. Jennifer found that the man's palm was dry and warm, not cold at all. She thought that a man as cold as Timothy would have cold hands. Could he be a man who was cold on the outside but warm on the inside? Timothy was stiff all over. He glanced at Eric unnaturally and said, "Drive the reporters away." Eric waved his hand, and a group of bodyguards in black rushed out and drove away all the reporters. Jennifer and Timothy got in the car. "Fight back, Jennifer." Hearing Asher's voice, Jennifer closed the door without even looking over there. Asher stood there, watching Jennifer leave in Timothy's car. He saw Jennifer's abnormal behavior just now and frowned. "Jennifer, what do you want to do, Asher? Isn't it obvious? She wants to cling to the Clark family so that she can threaten us." Asher rubbed his temples. She was simply courting death, and in the end, no one can save her. Daniel said unhappily, "Asher, I have a way to get her back." Jennifer was angry because Sarah had written a hit song for Daniel. At worst, he could just use the song written by Jennifer this time. Daniel immediately sent a message to Jennifer. "I'll use the song Rainy you wrote as the leading song this time. Is that okay?" Jennifer was in the car. After receiving the message from Daniel, she sneered. It seemed that Daniel hadn't changed. Fight back. How could she possibly give him Rainy as his hit song? Jennifer noticed that Timothy was wiping his hands with a wet towel, which happened to be the hand she had just touched. She knew that Timothy was a misophobe. She coughed and said, "I didn't mean to molest you just now. It was just that what the reporter said was too much. If your grandma saw it, she would definitely be sad. That's why I did it. I don't want others to laugh at me." Timothy had a tall figure, and his profile was hard to see in the night. He wiped his hands slowly and said in a calm voice, "There's no need to do this. I don't care." He had gotten used to it over the years. "Mr. Clark, you have a strong mentality. You may not care, but Madam Clark definitely does. Isn't the reason you are getting engaged to me to reassure her? I have to do something." Timothy's gaze fell on her face, and his eyes were cold and clear. Jennifer became inexplicably nervous. He asked, "What do you want from me?" Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought her secret. There was a hint of surprise in Jennifer's eyes. Why did he ask that? This man was cautious and defensive. Jennifer thought for a moment and replied, "I want you to cancel your cooperation with Asher." This was indeed her purpose, but her ultimate goal was to use Timothy to escape from the Hargreaves family. "Why?" His voice was emotionless. Jennifer's heart beat faster. She remembered the last time she didn't tell the truth and was kicked out by him. She wasn't sure she could deceive this man. Then, she showed a hint of self-mockery. "The reason is simple. They don't need me as their sister, so I don't want them either." In her previous life, her brothers all thought that Sarah, the fake sister, was presentable. Her secret, so, no matter how hard Jennifer tried, she was eventually abandoned. This time, she chose to leave them behind first. Timothy's eyes fell on her face, and her expression was somewhat mocking. Just now he saw, with his own eyes, how the Hargreaves family treated her. Thinking of the scene where she came to him with injuries last night, Timothy rolled his Adam's apple slightly. Doing business is not a child's game. You can't cancel it just by saying so. Jennifer knew that he still didn't believe it and thought she was just angry with her family. However, she was not in a hurry at the moment. She would do it step by step. They didn't say anything else after that, and the car returned to the King Villa. Jennifer got out of the car and felt a little inconvenienced, but at least one of her feet was still good, so she could jump off on one foot and then sit in the wheelchair. But Timothy couldn't. Her secret: he supported himself with his hands, then sat on the wheelchair and looked up at her. His eyes were cold, even wary and defensive. Jennifer quickly retracted her gaze and patted the wheelchair awkwardly. "Thanks to your wheelchair today, or I would definitely break my leg." And he spoke for her today. It seemed that this man was not as bad as rumored. Timothy slowly retracted his gaze. "Don't overthink. I did this because of Grandma." Jennifer looked at his back and breathed a sigh of relief. This man was too difficult to approach. Eric whispered, "Ms. Hargreaves, Mr. Clark is cold on the outside but warm on the inside. He usually doesn't lend his wheelchair to outsiders. You are the first one." "I see. Ms. Hargreaves, actually he came here specially." Timothy looked at his assistant with a cold face. "Your legs are also disabled, huh? Come on." Eric immediately shut up and followed. Her secret: Jennifer looked at Timothy's specially made wheelchair and recalled a project in her second brother's drug research laboratory in her previous life. In fact, the injured nerves in Timothy's legs could be repaired. In her previous life, she had just made some progress in her research, but in the end, she was kicked out of the laboratory by her second brother, Dylan, because she exposed Sarah's research fraud. Later, in order to avenge Sarah, Asher drove her out of the house, and she eventually froze to death in the cold winter. Maybe she could develop that drug in advance in this lifetime. It would definitely help Timothy's leg recovery. She didn't want to owe him a favor. Jennifer returned to the small room on the first floor. Now she had more important things to do. She sent a message to Jesse. "Mr. Martin, I want to collaborate with you on the new song, Rainy. Is there an opportunity for this?" She was still a little nervous. Just then, new news popped up on the entertainment headlines. Timothy and his wife both sit in wheelchairs, showing their affection. Her secret: seeing the title, Jennifer felt speechless. They were both in wheelchairs to show their affection. Seriously, she always felt that the content of these media reports was targeting Timothy. Perhaps it was because he used to be too dazzling, and after he fell from the altar, everyone wanted to ridicule him. Jennifer took a look and found that the comments were even more excessive. Some said, "Timothy's fiancé is so ugly. He must be impotent, so he would just pick a random woman." Others agreed, "Didn't Timothy say before that his wife must be pretty and have a good figure? Oh, now he's just talking big. And other parts are small, too." Someone was more outrageous. "Timothy was so unfaithful in the past. He broke so many girls' hearts. Now he is disabled. He deserves it." After seeing this, Jennifer flew into a rage and started to retort them. "Do you want to look in the mirror and see how ugly the expression of jealousy is? Timothy is handsome and rich. Doesn't he have any requirements for his future wife?" Her secret: look at your jealous words. Even if he is disabled now, he is still more handsome and more prosperous than you. Initially, most of the comments were mocking Timothy and taking advantage of his misfortune. But Jennifer's comments were very abruptly squeezed in the middle. Soon, Jennifer was besieged by those people. Jennifer was not panicked at all. She started fighting directly. She was fearless in exchanging insults with those people. "Anti-fan, you are defending Timothy so much. Are you Timothy?" Others added, "Yes, tell me your name if you dare. Who are you? Write your comment at gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought. He's too close." Jennifer sneered, believing this group of anti-fans was definitely organized. Otherwise, they wouldn't curse in such a regular pattern. She quickly replied, "I'll just tell you. I am Timothy's fiancée, Jennifer Hargreaves. He is my fiancé, only I can dislike him. None of you have the right to do so. If you disagree, come and fight. I don't mind cursing all your ancestors." Now that she had spoken those words in front of the reporters, she feared nothing. Jennifer's hardcore speech directly blew up the comment section. They didn't expect Timothy's mysterious fiancé to be so arrogant. This quarrel was also captured and quickly spread. Jennifer threw her phone away. She had died once, so of course, she would live the best she could. Giving up personal qualities could enjoy an immoral life. In the bedroom upstairs, Timothy had a tablet on his knees, with a lively comments section displayed on the page. "He's too close." The last part, where Jennifer revealed her identity, had become a hit. Timothy looked at those words with deep eyes. Eric was somewhat happy. "Mr. Clark, Ms. Hargreaves still protects you." Eric was angry that the media reported things inaccurately, but Timothy never explained. Therefore, the media became more and more excessive over the years. Now, finally, a righteous girl appeared. Jennifer was so fantastic. Timothy said unnaturally, I don't need her protection. Sir, Ms. Hargreaves is actually quite pitiful. She is the daughter of the Hargreaves family, but her brothers favor their fake sister. I don't know how much grievance she has suffered at home that she came to you with injuries at night. Timothy pressed his lips coldly. Warn the media. If they talk nonsense again, they will go bankrupt tomorrow. Eric showed a relieved expression. Timothy never cared about these things before, but now, he actually asked him to warn the media, trying to protect Jennifer. What a perfect match. He's too close. Waking up the next day, Jennifer thought she was going to be cyberbullied. After all, she was in a bad mood last night, so she impulsively started arguing with those netizens. Now that she had woken up, she felt a little regretful. Jennifer then carefully opened the internet to search for news but found that last night's report had been deleted overnight, and even the related words had disappeared. What was going on? Could it be that Timothy asked the media to delete the article? It was possible. Jennifer came out after washing up and saw Timothy sitting on the sofa, reading a document in his hand. The living room was quiet and she approached him in her wheelchair. Well, I have to go to school. After all, weekends were always short. Timothy didn't even raise his head and responded calmly. Jennifer hesitated for a moment and wanted to ask about last He's Too Close night's entertainment headlines. Timothy looked up, his eyes deep. Anything else? Well, we were interviewed by a reporter last night and it became a hot topic. I had a friendly debate with those netizens, but I found that the report disappeared this morning. Jennifer explained what happened last night without blushing or getting nervous. She felt that Timothy was so out of touch with the world that he probably didn't know about the quarrel she had last night. Thinking about it, Jennifer felt embarrassed. Timothy's expression was not natural. Who told you to meddle in this? Jennifer was choked. As expected, he already knew it. She raised her head and said confidently, I can't just stay here for free. They also called me ugly. Although I'm not as pretty as you, I shouldn't be insulted like that. I cursed back without realizing it and I couldn't control myself, and I even revealed my relationship with you. The engagement agreement with Timothy stipulated that her relationship with Timothy should not be exposed casually. So everyone only knew that Timothy had a fiancée, but no one knew who she was. He's Too Close. Jennifer went to the charity dinner yesterday, and because Daniel doubted her invitation, she revealed that she was Timothy's fiancée. The news must have been leaked out, so reporters came to block them. Jennifer's voice became much lower. I didn't reveal my identity on purpose. Don't worry. I won't do anything messy in your name. Timothy said in a cold and hard tone, you feel ashamed to have fiancé like me, so you dare not mention me. What? That was not what she meant. Timothy put down the document and approached her with a cold and intimidating look in his eyes. Write your comment. Kicked out of the wealthy family for brought belated compensation. Meeting his gaze, Jennifer felt a little scared. She subconsciously stepped back, but she was not familiar with the use of this wheelchair and didn't know how to move backward. Timothy put his hand on her armrest and leaned closer to her. Answer my question. Jennifer looked up and met his eyes. The two of them were very close. It was the first time she saw his face up close. His skin was delicate and his eyelashes were very long. The color of his pupils was also a beautiful light gray. No wonder he could become the dream lover of the ladies before the car accident. He was really charming. Timothy noticed that she was distracted and pinched her chin unhappily. Speak. Jennifer came back to her senses, stuttering. That's not what I meant. You're lying. Belated compensation. Who would dislike you? Haven't you looked in the mirror to see how handsome you are? Jennifer looked at him with her eyes wide open, her clear pupils reflecting his appearance. Her expression was solemn. Timothy suddenly let go of her and quickly turned the wheelchair, facing her with his back. He pressed his thin lips. Women are the best at lying. Jennifer looked at his back as he left, feeling a little depressed. She was telling the truth. Who would dislike a man who was so handsome and wealthy? However, her engagement with Timothy in the past was indeed just for the cooperation between the Hargreaves family and the Clark family, and she really didn't like Timothy. She had a crush on someone else. Every time she thought of that person, a deep pain would appear in her eyes. Jennifer quickly adjusted her mood and prepared to go out. Eric came to her and said, Ms. Hargreaves, the driver is already waiting outside. It is inconvenient for you to sit in a wheelchair. Belated compensation now. Mr. Clark's car is the most suitable. Jennifer thought about it and didn't refuse. She went to school in Timothy's car. She was currently in her third year of college and had courses. Timothy's car stopped steadily outside the college. Jennifer independently exited the car with the self-propelling wheelchair. Jennifer, why didn't you answer my calls or reply to my messages? Asher had been waiting outside the college and finally saw Jennifer appear. If he was not mistaken, the car Jennifer was riding in should be Timothy's. Asher pulled Jennifer aside and said in a low voice, "Do you know how worried I was about you last night?" Jennifer said calmly, "This isn't the first time I've lived with him, and I've never seen you worry about me so much before." Asher's expression froze for a moment. "But it was you who voluntarily agreed to be engaged to Timothy, and I never agreed." Belated compensation. Jennifer just felt suffocated and could hardly breathe. What did it mean that she voluntarily agreed? Yes, she agreed to it under moral coercion. Timothy was disabled in a car accident, and it was said that he would not live long, so Angelina was anxious to find a girl to get engaged to and offered generous conditions. At that time, the Hargreaves family was facing a bankruptcy crisis, and the conditions proposed by the Clark family could save the Hargreaves group. Sarah pretended to propose to marry Timothy in order to save Asher's company from crisis. But Asher disagreed, and Sarah gained his approval from then on. Jennifer thought that by taking the initiative to ask for an engagement with Timothy, she would be able to let Asher see that she was indeed doing it for the good of the Hargreaves family, and Sarah was just talking big. So Jennifer agreed to get engaged to Timothy. But in the end, she only moved herself. Jennifer didn't want to explain anything. She nodded. "Yes, I volunteered. Since he and I are already engaged, is there any belated compensation problem living together?" "Jennifer, you know very well that you are just exchanging interests and acting for Madam Clark. You don't need to maintain this kind of relationship." Asher was so angry that his temples were throbbing. "Also, what nonsense did you say on the internet last night? It's no good for you to reveal your identity to defend Timothy. If people know about this, do you still want to get married in the future?" Asher was very disappointed. Jennifer clearly wanted to please Timothy so that she could go against the Hargreaves family. Couldn't she be more sensible? Jennifer looked up. "Asher, I'm already engaged to Timothy, so don't talk nonsense. If it gets out, it will have a bad impact on the Hargreaves family, right?" Asher noticed that Timothy's driver had not left yet, so he had no choice but to let go. "Jennifer, you think we are partial to Sarah, but it's because her mother saved your life. We are kind to her because we are repaying for her kindness. Why don't you understand?" Jennifer gave a mocking smile. "I understand. Are you finished? I'm going to be late for class." "Belated compensation. I know that you have sacrificed a lot for our family, and we have wronged you. As long as you are willing to come back, I will ask Daniel to apologize and use the song you wrote as the hit song, and I will double compensate you in the future." Jennifer took a deep breath and said, "No, I have to go to class." "Jennifer, how will you come home? Write your comment. Kid out of the wealthy family for brought change." Jennifer's hands were on the wheelchair, her eyes slightly red. How she wanted to go home in her previous life. However, Asher drove her out of the house and caused her to freeze to death on the street in winter. She didn't want to go back in this life. Jennifer turned her wheelchair and headed towards the campus, her back looking extremely determined. Asher stood there, somewhat unable to believe that Jennifer had actually left. He was so angry. It seemed that he had been busy with work recently and neglected to discipline Jennifer. Asher didn't know if it was too late now. The driver of the Hargreaves family came over and helped Asher. "Sir, Ms. Hargreaves used to have a little temper, but this time she probably wants to use the Clark family to force you to drive Ms. Campbell out of the Hargreaves family." "Impossible. Sarah didn't do anything wrong." Asher was in a dilemma. He thought that he could just come and change coax Jennifer today. Unexpectedly, Jennifer was persistent this time, and she had changed a lot, completely different from before. Asher felt an indescribable irritation in his heart. Jennifer controlled the wheelchair and went to the classroom. Fortunately, the classrooms these days were all on the first floor. As she went in, the originally noisy classroom became quiet. "Jennifer, you have the nerve to come to school." She is now relying on the Clark family's support to act so arrogantly on the internet. Sarah pretended to be generous and said, "You should all stop talking. She doesn't have an easy life in the Clark family." Hearing these words, Jennifer sat directly in the first row to avoid being disturbed by the people behind her. She must study hard to avoid failing the final examination. In her previous life, she was constantly delayed by Sarah's affairs and failed every exam at the end of the semester. The professor of this subject was rigorous. If she failed the course, it would be difficult to pass the makeup exam without change her regular grades. As the class began, the professor, Vincent Moore, pushed the door and walked in. The classroom soon returned to silence. During class, Vincent asked a question and said, "Students who can answer correctly can get extra points on the final exam." Several students raised their hands, but none of them answered correctly. Sarah raised her hand. "Sir, I know. Jennifer couldn't help but sneer when hearing what Sarah said. The answer Sarah found on the internet was totally wrong and would only piss off the professor. In her previous life, Jennifer sat next to Sarah. As Sarah made Vincent angry, Jennifer handed the correct answer to Sarah, and then she was able to answer correctly and get extra points at the end of the semester. But this time, Jennifer wouldn't be so stupid. After Sarah answered confidently, Vincent frowned. "Do you think I would test you with answers that can be easily found on the internet? Don't be silly." Sarah's eyes suddenly turned red and she felt very embarrassed. How could it be wrong? This old man was just trying to make things difficult for her. At this time, Jennifer raised her hand. "Professor Moore, no. Say it." "It's actually very simple," Jennifer answered it calmly, and everyone in the classroom showed a shocked expression. "Well done, Jennifer. How did you know?" "I was resting at home these few days and reviewing my lessons. I came across the answer to this question by accident, and I added some of my own thoughts." Vincent nodded. "Very good. You should all learn from Jennifer's initiative in self-study." Jennifer smiled. What she wanted was the professor's extra credit for the final exam. Sarah sat down and glanced at Jennifer, who was sitting in the first row in a bad mood. How did this woman steal the limelight? She felt that Jennifer had suddenly become difficult to deal with. Finally, Vincent asked everyone to submit their design model change assignments. Everyone went to the model classroom, where all the handmade models they had made before were stored. Sarah walked up to Jennifer and said, "Jennifer, did you bring my model?" Jennifer looked at the hypocritical woman in front of her, and remembered that in her previous life, she had made all of Sarah's handmade model assignments. Sarah's handicrafts were very poor, and she was scolded many times by Vincent. Later, Sarah deliberately framed Jennifer for injuring her hand, and then Sarah's handmade model homework fell on her, and Jennifer had to do an excellent job every time. Otherwise, Sarah would complain to her brothers at home. In order to avoid being blamed by her brothers, Jennifer worked hard to make a handmade model for Sarah. But she had little time to do her homework, and every time, she handed in a very rough model, ultimately failing the course at the end of the semester. In her previous life, Jennifer never got a diploma until she died. But this time, she would not do homework for Sarah anymore. As Jennifer thought of this, her eyes turned colder. Why would change I? Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought she won't be controlled. Jennifer saw that Sarah's face darkened. Obviously, she didn't expect Jennifer to answer like this. Sarah gritted her teeth and reminded, "Jennifer, don't forget what you promised Asher. Do you want to regret it now?" "What am I regretting?" "Doing your handwork for you." Jennifer raised her voice and said it directly. Sarah suddenly turned a little flustered. After all, Vincent was not far away. She quickly replied, "Jennifer, what are you talking about? When did I ask you to do my homework? Didn't I ask you to bring it to me?" Jennifer replied with a half smile, "Did you forget? I haven't lived at home these few days, so how can I help you get your homework?" Sarah was so angry that she gritted her teeth, knowing that Jennifer would not do her homework for her. Sarah didn't dare to continue talking for fear that Jennifer might accidentally let something slip, which would be disastrous if Vincent found out. Jennifer opened her storage box and took out the handmade she won't be controlled model she had made earlier. This was actually made for Sarah. Her own model was still crudely made, utterly different from this carefully prepared one. But now, she didn't want to continue the stupid things from her previous life. Jennifer handed in this handmade model. As Vincent saw the model she brought over, he immediately took a few glances and said, "Did you make this? That's a big improvement." After all, Jennifer's previous handmade models were very mediocre, and sometimes they were not even finished. Vincent didn't expect the model this time to be completely different. Seeing the model, Sarah felt it was familiar. Wasn't this the model that Jennifer had made for her? She put forward the idea, and asked Jennifer to find a way to implement it herself. So, this bitch didn't want to make models for her anymore. No way. She won't be controlled. Sarah immediately ran over in surprise. "Oh my. I was wondering why my model is gone. I thought it was at home, but I didn't expect it to be here." Sarah's friends also echoed, "Yes, this is the model made by Sarah." "Jennifer, how can you say you made it yourself?" As soon as these words were spoken, everyone in the classroom looked over. Vincent frowned and asked, "Jennifer, did you make this model?" Jennifer calmly replied, "I did it myself." Sarah's eyes turned red and she said in a caring tone, "Jennifer, I know you really want to improve. I can teach you. But you can't give Professor Moore the model I made. It's cheating." Her friends agreed, "Professor Moore, I can testify that this model was made by Sarah, not Jennifer. And this is the model introduction that Sarah proposed at the beginning. You can check it." Vincent indeed opened the recorded core introduction of the model. This model was very consistent with the description and introduction proposed by Sarah. But the model concept Jennifer submitted before was not this. She won't be controlled. The professor's face suddenly turned grave. Jennifer, I'm going to ask you one last time. Did you make this model? Sarah pretended to be concerned and said, Jennifer, tell Professor Moore the truth and explain it clearly. You know that he hates it most when students cheat on their homework. The professor immediately got angry. Jennifer, leave the classroom immediately and don't take this class. Jennifer stood up expressionlessly. Sir, I did make this model. Although it is different from the topic I proposed before, you didn't say that the topic cannot be changed. Jennifer, how do you explain that this model is exactly the same as the theme proposed by Sarah? And your previous homework was very poor. How come you did so well this time? How can you make me believe what you say? Faced with Vincent's angry questioning, the classroom was very quiet. Sarah looked pure and innocent. Sir, this is the first time that Jennifer has done something wrong. Please forgive her this time. The students around also spoke up. Jennifer's homework is usually so bad. Everyone can see it. She must have taken Sarah's homework. Jennifer, it's useless for you to deny it even though the evidence is irrefutable. Who would believe that you did this homework? She won't be controlled. Hearing these questioning voices, Jennifer walked to the side of the podium and said, I can prove that I made this model. What can you do? Jennifer picked up the model and threw it to the ground. Write your comment at gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought. Are you crazy? Jennifer smashed the model into pieces and it was unrecognizable. Sarah's eyes widened instantly. Jennifer, are you crazy? If she broke the model, what would Sarah use to hand in her homework? Sarah's friends followed up and said, Professor Moore, Jennifer knew that if she stole something, she would be exposed, so she destroyed the evidence. Sarah looked distressed. Jennifer, why are you doing this? Even if you destroy this model, it won't prove anything. After all, no one believed what Jennifer said. Jennifer raised her eyelids. Who said I can't prove it? Sarah was a little flustered as she saw Jennifer was so sure. How do you prove it? Could it be that this little bitch had another trick up her sleeve? Jennifer turned to look at Vincent. I will submit an identical one tomorrow so that I can prove that it was made by me, right? Are you crazy? Vincent nodded. Okay. No, Sarah objected subconsciously, her expression a little unnatural. Professor Moore, this doesn't prove anything, okay? Do you want me to make a model on the spot? Although there is not enough time now, I don't mind. Jennifer stared at Sarah with a sneer on her face. She bet Sarah would never dare to do that. Sarah really panicked. All right, I have no objection. Vincent looked at Sarah and said, then submit a copy of this model tomorrow. Then we can compare them and know who plagiarized it. Yes, sir. Even though Sarah was unwilling in her heart, she had to nod and agree. Otherwise, if Jennifer suggested making the model on the spot, wouldn't she be exposed? Sarah was so furious that Jennifer actually disobeyed her. After the class, Jennifer calmly packed up and prepared to leave. But Sarah came directly in front of her, bent down, and lowered "Are you crazy?" her voice. Jennifer, why do you want to suffer like this? Isn't it better to just do what you should do? Jennifer looked up and made eye contact with Sarah. Isn't this what I should do? Why are you in such a hurry? Sarah sneered grimly, don't forget who hurt my hand. Jennifer directly held Sarah's hand with a sneer. Don't think I don't know. You deliberately framed me. So what? Your brothers don't believe what you say. They only believe that you hurt me. That's enough. Sarah stood up straight with a smug look. This time will be no exception. Jennifer looked cold and indifferent. Then I'll wait. This time was definitely different. Because she wouldn't compromise. She would never suffer injustice for her family again. Jennifer prepared the materials for making the model, put them all into her school bag, and took them back. If she did it here, Sarah might tamper with it. Jennifer walked to the school gate and saw Daniel's car parked on the side of the road. Sarah was standing in front of Daniel. Are you crazy? With her head down, seemingly crying about something. After seeing this scene, Jennifer knew that Sarah was complaining. But she didn't care now. Jennifer was about to take a taxi to leave but was stopped by Daniel. Jennifer, come here. What did you do at school today? Daniel looked very unhappy. He didn't expect that Jennifer would cause trouble at school again. It seemed that with the support of the Clark family, Jennifer had become more and more outrageous. Jennifer turned around and said, I don't need you to remind me of what I did, Daniel. Jennifer, you still don't know you're wrong. Don't play dumb. You're the one who hurt Sarah's hand. She can't continue to make delicate handmade models, so you have to do her homework to make up for your mistake. What did you do today? It's outrageous. Jennifer just thought it was funny. Sarah's hand injury has nothing to do with me. Who else could it be if not you? Jennifer, you are so disappointing. Don't think that you can be fearless just because you have the support of the Clark family. Are you crazy? Daniel rubbed his temples. You apologize to Sarah now and explain to the professor in person tomorrow that it was you who stole Sarah's model. There was a hint of coldness in the corners of Jennifer's eyes. This scene was so familiar. In the past, she would have done it no matter how reluctant she was just to avoid Daniel hating her. But now, she didn't want to be their sister at all. Jennifer looked stubborn. I refuse. Jennifer, if you dare to leave today, you won't be my sister anymore. Write your comment. Icked out of the wealthy family for brought you're not my sister. There was a sneer on Jennifer's face. It was the same trick again. She said calmly, I don't care. Seeing her cold expression, Daniel was almost ready to explode with anger. Didn't Jennifer care about him at all? Wasn't she always scared to hear him say this before? Every time he said it, no matter what, Jennifer would do what he wanted. But this time, it didn't seem to work. For a moment, Daniel felt a bit panicked. He chased after her and looked at Jennifer, who was sitting in a taxi. If you really want to leave the Hargreaves family, then I will freeze your credit card. I'd like to see how you can live in the Clark family. He had to let Jennifer know that the reason she could live such a good life was provided by the Hargreaves family. As Jennifer heard about suspending the credit card, her expression did not change. Let's go. Her credit card was also suspended in her previous life, and she lived a very hard life. But she could now make money on her own and no longer had to rely on the Hargreaves family for a living. You're not my sister. Daniel watched the taxi driving away, his face turning dark with anger. Jennifer actually dared to leave. How dare she? Seeing this, Sarah stepped forward to persuade him. Daniel, it's all my fault. Don't force Jennifer. I was too careless, so I got my hand injured. Sarah, it was Jennifer who got you hurt. I'll make her responsible for this. You don't have to worry about it. Sarah's eyes were red. But Jennifer now has the support of the Clark family. She has changed a lot. I'm worried that she won't listen to you. Why don't we just forget it? I'll tell the professor directly. At worst, I won't graduate. What nonsense are you talking about? Even if I need to find someone to help you with the handmade model homework, it won't prevent you from graduating. Don't worry, you are also a member of our family, and we will not ignore you. Seeing Sarah being so sensible, Daniel felt a little comforted. But he was still furious when thinking of Jennifer's stubborn temper. Jennifer must be taught a lesson in this matter, or she would be led astray when she was in the Clark family. You're not my sister. Jennifer took a taxi back to the King Villa, but as she was paying, she suddenly found that she couldn't use her bank card. She realized that not only her credit card was suspended, but even her bank card was frozen. Jennifer didn't expect that Daniel would act so quickly. How cruel. She felt a little embarrassed at the moment. Jennifer looked at the driver and said, wait, I'll ask my fiancé to pay for it. He's quite rich. She got out of the car with a blush, and after walking into the hall, she didn't see Timothy, only the butler, Ryan. She hesitated for a moment and said, Ryan, my bank card has been frozen. Can you help me pay for the taxi fare? I'll pay you back later. Ryan glanced at Jennifer and said, Ms. Hargreaves, I hope you won't do such embarrassing things again in the future. It will be bad for Mr. Clark's reputation if it gets out. Jennifer lowered her eyelids and replied in a low voice, got it. After Ryan walked out, Timothy just came out of the rebuilt gym on the first floor. He was wearing a sports vest and sweat was, You're not my sister, sliding down his neck and disappearing deep into his abdominal muscles. It was the first time that Jennifer saw Timothy wearing sportswear. Usually, he wore a suit meticulously. There was a hint of surprise in her eyes. Timothy had a pretty good figure. He sat in the wheelchair and wiped his sweat with a towel. No money. Jennifer nodded. Yes, I had a quarrel with Daniel when I came back from school just now, and all my credit cards and bank cards have been frozen. Little girl, it's better to go home early. You won't last long. Timothy knew that she ran away from home because she was angry. A young lady like her who had never had to worry about food and clothing since childhood could not survive long without money. Jennifer looked determined. I won't go back. But you have no money. I will make money, and today's fare will be considered as what I owe you. I will pay it back as soon as possible. You're not my sister. Table, which looked like materials for making models. Jennifer looked up and saw him, a little nervous. The table in the room I live in is relatively small and the light is a bit dim, so I can only take it outside to do it. Timothy glanced at the materials and said, do you think that by making a new one, you can clear yourself of the charge of stealing the model? Write your comment. She won't be a scapegoat. Jennifer asked in surprise, why not? She made another one with her own hands, and how could she not prove it? Sarah definitely couldn't do it. Timothy said calmly, you underestimate human nature. Jennifer didn't quite understand what he meant. Then Mr. Clark, what do you think? Timothy leaned back in his wheelchair and casually mentioned the most crucial point of the matter. Jennifer thought for a while and said, "You're right. She didn't consider these." Eric immediately said, "These methods are just small tricks in front of Mr. Clark. It's nothing." Jennifer suddenly thought of something. "How do you know what happened to me at school?" Timothy was monitoring her. "She won't be a scapegoat." Timothy's expression suddenly became unnatural. "I don't care what you do in school. Then why did you send someone to monitor me?" He turned his head and said, "I'm worried that you might do something at school that would bring shame to the Clark family." Jennifer lowered her head, thinking it made sense. After all, everyone now knew her relationship with Timothy. Timothy turned his wheelchair and left. Eric looked at Jennifer and said, "Ms. Hargreaves, I believe you are innocent." "Thanks." Jennifer looked at the departing figure and remembered that Timothy had just pointed out the key to the matter. She felt that he should also believe in her. Otherwise, how could he give her advice? She looked at the materials on the table. What Timothy said just now was right. The key to this matter was not whether she could restore the same model. It was pretty late when Jennifer finished making the model. She took out her phone, checked the time, and found that she won't be a scapegoat. Missed Asher's call due to her phone being on silent. Asher sent a message, "Jennifer, let's just forget about the model. After all, it was you who injured Sarah's hand. Even if you don't want to continue doing homework for her, there's not need to expose her and embarrass her." Seeing this message, Jennifer felt suffocated. She turned off her phone and did not reply. There was no need. The next day, Jennifer got up early and prepared to take the bus to school. After all, she really had no money to take a taxi. But she saw Timothy put on a suit and looked like he was going out. Jennifer walked over. "Are you going to work so early?" She rose early to catch the bus, walking from the villa area lacking a stop. Her feet were much better now. Although she didn't need a wheelchair anymore, she still needed to use crutches. So she walked very slowly and needed to get up early, not to be late. "She won't be a scapegoat." Timothy's expression was cold, and he responded indifferently. Jennifer followed him out. Eric said to her, "Ms. Hargreaves, go with us. We're going to pass by your school." Timothy looked at Eric coldly as if to say, "You're too nosy." Jennifer saw Timothy's stern face and asked politely, "Is it convenient for you?" Eric withstood the considerable pressure. "Mr. Clark has always been very generous to his woman." Jennifer was almost scared to death. Although she was Timothy's fiancée, she had no affair with this man. She was not his woman. Timothy looked unnatural and turned around to get in the car first. He didn't answer Jennifer. Jennifer smiled, then, "Thank you." After all, if she were to use crutches to catch the bus, it would definitely be challenging. She won't be a scapegoat now that she could hitch a ride. Surely she wouldn't refuse it. After Jennifer got into the car, Eric helped her put the crutches in the trunk. She felt that Timothy beside her seemed to have a stern face all the time, so she tried to reduce her presence as much as possible to avoid being kicked out of the car. Buzz. Jennifer's phone kept ringing. She took a look and saw that it was Asher calling. Jennifer guessed what Asher wanted to say, which was simply to ask her to give up exposing Sarah. But the phone kept ringing, which was annoying in the car. Timothy was a little impatient and said coldly, "Answer it." Jennifer then answered the phone and whispered, "What's the matter?" "Jennifer, did you listen to what I said to you last night? I know you think we are partial, but Sarah's mother saved your life and we are paying your debt. We are all doing this for your good. Why don't you understand?" It was hushed in the car. Hearing these words, Jennifer suddenly felt a little short of breath. "Oh, she won't be a scapegoat," she sarcastically responded. So you should explain clearly to the professor later that all of this was done by you and has nothing to do with Sarah. What about me? Write your comment. TR gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought never compromise. Never compromise. Jennifer looked at the scenery passing by outside the car. She raised her head to hold back her tears and then said, "Asher, have you ever thought about what I will face after doing this?" She would be on Vincent's blacklist. She would fail the course and wouldn't graduate. "I will help you to ask the professor for mercy. At worst, you can just make up the exam. But Sarah is not as smart as you. If something goes wrong this time, she really won't be able to graduate in the future. Her hand was injured because of you, and you should be held responsible for it. The Hargreaves family cannot be so ungrateful." Jennifer thought she was as cold and hard as iron and would not be sad or upset. But these words still broke her heart. A tissue was handed to Jennifer. She turned her head away, wiped her tears with her hand in a somewhat embarrassed manner, and said to the phone, "Then just consider me ungrateful." Jennifer hung up the phone directly. "Never compromise." Timothy put the tissue next to her. "Don't rub your snot on my car. Only then did Jennifer take the tissue and wipe her tears. From the corner of his eye, Timothy saw her lowering her head to wipe her tears, looking somewhat pitiful. The conversations just now came out clearly. Timothy couldn't help but ask, "You hurt her hand?" "I didn't. Sarah was not capable enough, so she framed me for hurting her hand. Since then, I have been helping her with her homework." "Why didn't you explain it clearly at the time?" Jennifer said self-deprecatingly, "I have explained it countless times, but they don't believe it, so I don't want to explain it now." Timothy looked at her deeply and said, "It's just a waste of life to explain to those blind people." Jennifer raised her head and forced a smile. "Yes, I think so too." Timothy handed her some tissues. "Your smile is ugly." Jennifer took the tissues depressedly and muttered softly, "Never compromise, course you think so. You are prettier than any woman. It was so unfair when humans were created. Why would a man be so pretty?" Not long after, the vehicle stopped on the side of the road near the school. Before Jennifer got out of the car, she quickly said, "Thank you." She opened the car door, got out with one foot, and walked into the school with her crutches without looking back. Timothy sat in the wheelchair and watched her leave with a deep look in his eyes. Eric sat in the passenger seat and said tentatively, "Sir, we'll leave for the company right now. We won't be late." "No hurry." Eric was confused. What did it mean? Jennifer walked towards the classroom on crutches. Vincent taught the first class of the day. Not long after she entered the campus, she met Sarah and her fourth brother, Daniel. Never compromise. Jennifer was carrying a box in one hand, which contained the model she made. Daniel stepped forward with a cold face. "Jennifer, Asher has told you so much. Are you really going to be so cruel?" Jennifer said indifferently, "Don't worry. I will be self-reliant in the future, and you don't need to worry about me." "Jennifer, how long are you going to be angry? If you have any grievances, you can come to us, but Sarah has never done anything wrong to you. It is our family who has done something wrong to her, or she would not have become an orphan." Angry? Did they really think she was just being angry? Jennifer stated calmly, "I just want to prove that I didn't steal the model. Sarah just needs to admit that she was wrong. For such a simple question, do you want me to bear the serious consequences? You owe her that. Of course you should take the responsibility." Daniel came to Jennifer and asked, "Are you sure you want to do this?" Jennifer raised her head, unwilling to be outdone. "I just want to clear my name. Never compromise, then don't blame me for being rude." Daniel directly snatched the box from her hand. Jennifer's face darkened. "What are you doing?" "This is the model I just made last night, now it's Sarah's. No one can prove that you made this model, but I can prove that Sarah did." Daniel looked down at her. "Jennifer, if you have any dissatisfaction, you can target me. Don't hurt Sarah. She has become an orphan because of our family. Don't you think she is miserable enough?" Sarah pretended to be generous and said, "Daniel, I don't think it's proper. There's nothing wrong with it. I said that this is yours. And it has nothing to do with Jennifer. She caused your hand to be injured, so she should be responsible. I am teaching her what it means to repay a favor." Sarah frowned, "But I think it's not good. Jennifer will be if we do this. Angry, let her be. She's always angry since she was little. She should be sensible now." Daniel directly handed the box to Sarah. "Come on, I'll go with you to give it to Professor Moore." Never compromise. Sarah held the box helplessly and glanced at Jennifer guiltily. "Just this once. I won't bother you to do it again in the future." "Sarah, you are just too kind. Why did you say so much to her?" Sarah lowered her head in embarrassment, but there was a hint of smugness in her eyes. In the end, she won. Jennifer looked at the two's backs and sneered. It was not over yet. "Be right your comment. IR gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought her competence." Jennifer ran her fingers over her backpack, grateful that she had prepared ahead of time. And she had Timothy to thank for that. She never expected Daniel to actually steal her meticulously crafted model. Taking a deep breath, Jennifer reminded herself that she didn't have high expectations of her brothers, so she wasn't really disappointed. After all, she had long since accumulated enough disappointment for a lifetime. With her cane in hand, Jennifer slowly made her way into the classroom. Vincent was already there. She noticed Sarah placing the stolen box on Vincent's desk. Sarah said, "Professor Moore, this is the model I hurried to finish last night. It may not be perfect, but it should clearly show that I'm the original creator." Vincent gave the model a quick glance and nodded. Her competence. Daniel turned to Jennifer, announcing, "Professor Moore, my sister Jennifer has been having some family issues with me and Sarah, which has led to some conflicts. I'm really sorry for the inconvenience." Vincent was visibly irritated. "Jennifer, why are you lying and stealing someone else's work?" Professor Moore, I'm not lying, and I didn't steal anything, Jennifer replied firmly, her back straightening as she leaned on her cane. Seeing her serious expression, Vincent hesitated, caught in a moral dilemma. Sarah jumped in, saying, Jennifer, you're not trying to claim that this model is yours, are you? To keep the truth from slipping out, she must take the initiative. Sarah's friend added, come on, Jennifer, the facts are laid out. You walked in empty-handed, how can you prove that model is yours? Daniel shifted uncomfortably at their words. He knew full well that all those models had been made by Jennifer. He glared at her and said, apologize to Professor Moore, now. Be reasonable. Daniel thought that Sarah's hand was hurt because of Jennifer, and she was the one who should be held accountable. Her competence with a cold smile, Jennifer replied, I haven't even begun to prove anything yet. Why are you all so eager? Afraid of being exposed? Not at all, Jennifer. That's not what we meant, Sarah said, her voice slightly strained. Sarah felt her composure slipping as she watched Jennifer remain so calm. She thought, what if Jennifer did something clever with her model? If that's the case, I'd better think of a way to cover it up. Taking a seat in the front row, Jennifer started pulling out materials from her backpack and laying everything out on the desk. Sarah's expression darkened as she realized Jennifer was still holding cards close to her chest. She mused, I didn't foresee that Jennifer had a backup plan. If that's the case, I could be in serious trouble. Glancing at Daniel, she asked Jennifer, Jennifer, what exactly do you plan to do? Daniel frowned. Jennifer, do you really want to do this? Think about the consequences. He mused, why won't she just apologize to Professor Moore? Jennifer, however, was clear in her mind. She looked up at her competence. Vincent. Can I proceed? Vincent replied, of course. Since you haven't presented your evidence yet. With Vincent's encouragement, Jennifer shot a meaningful look at Sarah and then focused intently on assembling her model. Sarah, watching with furrowed brows, knew too well the quality of Jennifer's work. She thought, what now? What should I do? One of Sarah's friends piped up to disrupt Jennifer's concentration, saying, what you're building doesn't even match Professor Moore's project theme. Bigger isn't necessarily better. Jennifer remained unfazed by the interruption. After taking her time to piece the model together, she turned to Vincent and said, this is what the theme calls for. My house design stems from this idea. As Jennifer outlined her vision with clarity, demonstrating each component of her construction, Vincent's expression shifted to one of astonishment. Jennifer, this design is brilliant. It aligns precisely with my project theme, and it even addresses the issues I'm currently facing. Jennifer flashed a knowing smile. Her competence, she was fully aware of the origins of her model. The model she made for Sarah, in her past life, was inspired by Vincent's project. But back then, Jennifer hadn't put her heart into it. She had held back, afraid to give Sarah all the credit. In her past life, the opportunity to work with Vincent had still been snatched away by Sarah. Yet this time, Jennifer was determined to reclaim that chance. Turning to Vincent, she said, oh, really? Well, I just had a few epiphanies and decided to upgrade my ideas in the model I submitted yesterday. Vincent replied, that sounds great. Stick around after class, we need to discuss this further. He was thrilled his project puzzle had finally met its match. Sarah, sitting nearby, was struggling to maintain her composure. Jennifer's model was not only impressive, but also seemed capable of solving the very problems Vincent's project faced. Vincent finally addressed Sarah, since you submitted that model, why don't you give us an overview? Her competence. Sarah's heart skipped a beat. She was utterly unprepared, having no idea how she could explain something she had no hand in. Write your comment. IR gifts kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought exposed. As she saw Sarah's flustered expression, a cold smile crept across Jennifer's face. She thought, now, I'm really curious about how Sarah plans to weasel her way out of this. If it weren't for this little twist, I wouldn't have had the perfect opportunity to expose her. Timothy's idea has really come in handy. Sarah stood frozen in place, realizing that the model was not her work. She had no familiarity with its theme, concept, or construction. How could she possibly present it? Yet, if she stayed silent, it would clearly reveal her guilt. Instinctively, Sarah glanced towards Daniel for help. He stepped forward, trying to reassure her, don't panic. Didn't you just tell me that the theme involves? As Sarah heard his cue, she quickly connected the dots and followed his lead. After all, she was a student in this field. She could still expose together a few half-baked explanations. Jennifer listened to Daniel's commentary, feeling the sting of irony in every word. Those were her ideas, she had told him, after all. Now they were being twisted into a lifeline for Sarah. After stuttering her way through her explanation, Sarah turned to Vincent. These are my ideas. I realize they can't possibly match Jennifer's, but I promise to put in the effort. Vincent wasn't naive. He could sense that Sarah was out of her depth with the model. Jennifer interjected, Professor Moore, I think it's quite clear that I've been wronged, right? With an anxious look, Sarah explained, "Jennifer, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. Your model looks so similar to mine that I thought you'd taken it." Hearing Sarah's clumsy backtrack made Jennifer smirk. Daniel quickly added, "Professor Moore, I can vouch for this. The previous models were indeed quite similar, which led to this mix-up. It's my fault for misplacing the original." Deep down, Vincent already knew the truth, but Jennifer's sudden display of talent struck him as rather exposed peculiar. He turned to her, asking, "What do you think?" "Maybe," Jennifer said, her tone dripping with sarcasm. With Vincent's recognition in hand, Jennifer felt a surge of opportunity to join his project. She didn't intend to linger on the drama with Sarah any longer. A sigh of relief escaped Daniel upon hearing Jennifer's response. He thought, looks like Jennifer knows how to weigh her battles. She didn't expose the whole truth. However, he was astonished by how impressive Jennifer had become. Unable to hold back, Daniel blurted, "When did you get so good at this, Jennifer?" In the past, Jennifer had been pretty average in her work. She replied earnestly, "I wasn't focused on my studies before. I've just come to terms with it now." Jennifer had realized that she would no longer do Sarah's work. She would no longer be bound by the weight of family. It was time to live for herself. Exposed jealousy flickered in Sarah's eyes as she said with a hint of bitterness, "I'm really glad you've figured things out, Jennifer. Oh, but looking at your face, I can tell you're not truly happy. Don't force yourself to say things you don't mean. That kind of insincerity can backfire," Jennifer remarked with a smirk. Sarah bit her lip, feeling a swell of frustration. Daniel stepped in protectively, saying, "Jennifer, Sarah was just congratulating you. Is it really necessary to dismiss her?" Jennifer's expression was icy. "That's just me. I hope she stays away from me from now on." Looking pale, Sarah turned to Daniel. "Just let it go, Daniel. I know Jennifer doesn't like me. No matter what I say, she won't be happy." After saying that, she addressed Vincent, "Now that everything's been cleared up, can we please get started with class? We've already lost enough time." Vincent nodded in agreement. "Absolutely, let's move on. I'm afraid we'll need to keep Professor Moore a bit longer. This matter isn't quite settled yet." Timothy's frosty voice reverberated through the room. Jennifer lifted her gaze to see Timothy standing at the classroom door. Exposed, dressed in a dark suit, he was commanding despite being seated in a wheelchair. His back was ramrod straight, his features finely chiseled, exuding an air of upper-class sophistication. Jennifer was taken aback, thinking, "What is he doing here?" Timothy's expression remained stern. "My fiancé's been wrongfully accused, and I demand some answers." Jennifer's eyelids fluttered, her thoughts racing. What's he up to, she wondered. Write your comment. He personally proved her innocence. When Jennifer spotted Timothy entering the classroom, she was genuinely taken aback. But when she heard him demand an explanation, her shock deepened. The classroom fell unnaturally silent, and whispers began to ripple through the students. "Is that Timothy? He's so good looking. He's way more handsome in person than in photos. I've never seen a guy this stunning." Wasn't it said that Timothy rarely shows up in public? To come all the way here just to stand up for Jennifer. This is some fairy tale romance. Jennifer could hear the murmurs, and an unsettling feeling crept over her. Timothy's presence felt all wrong. She reached for her cane, intending to approach him, but he maneuvered his wheelchair towards her. Instead, he personally proved her innocence. Timothy seemed out of place in the classroom, exuding an air of elegance that was reminiscent of a nobleman from the Middle Ages. When Timothy reached her, he gently set her cane aside. "I've got evidence," he stated. Jennifer thought, "What evidence?" But Timothy only winked at her, leaving her questions hanging. Standing nearby, Sarah felt a wave of dread wash over her. She desperately sought Daniel's support. Daniel, too, was baffled by Timothy's unexpected appearance and his willingness to defend Jennifer. This was strange indeed. He looked at Timothy and said, "Mr. Clark, the matter has been clarified." Timothy shot him a piercing glance. "Clarified? Are you saying that Sarah slandered Jennifer?" Sarah's face drained of color. Daniel quickly added, "It's just a misunderstanding. Their models are quite similar, and Sarah simply made an error." Timothy shook his head firmly. "No, it wasn't an error. What happened is you all stole Jennifer's model and passed it off as he personally proved her innocence your own." His words carried weight, leaving Jennifer momentarily speechless as she considered Timothy beside her. He was genuinely defending her. A flicker of warmth surged in her heart. She thought, maybe Timothy is one of those stoic types with a warm interior. Daniel retorted, "Mr. Clark, you need to back that up with evidence." He had already looked into the matter. There were blind spots in the surveillance coverage, meaning their actions hadn't been recorded. Daniel had only been cautious, not expecting Timothy to show up for backup. Seeing Daniel's unwavering confidence, Sarah felt a bit of relief. She glanced up at Timothy, thinking, this guy is undeniably handsome. But why is he so protective of Jennifer? Putting on a weak, innocent face, Sarah said, Mr. Clark, this is truly a misunderstanding. Jennifer and I have had our differences. Jennifer watched as Sarah played the damsel in distress, and she could guess what was coming. He personally proved her cynic. Sarah always used this act to manipulate others. She instinctively turned her gaze to Timothy, wondering if he would see through it. Timothy's expression remained icy, and he answered with a hard edge to his voice, that doesn't justify stealing her model, and just because you're weak doesn't mean you're right. Sarah's expression froze. She thought, how is Timothy not buying this? That's not how it's supposed to work. Daniel stepped forward, his tone serious. Mr. Clark, I still stand by my earlier statement. Do you have any real evidence? Sarah counted on the fact that he wouldn't possess any proof. She turned to Vincent. Professor Moore, I know the Clark family is a school director with honorary status, but that doesn't give him the right to slander people without a basis. Timothy spoke. Who says I don't have evidence? He glanced at the projector, and the screen switched scenes. Jennifer watched in shock as the footage showed the hallway, capturing Daniel snatching the box from her arms, and then Sarah taking it away. He personally proved her cynic. She was stunned. Timothy had recorded the entire incident. Clearly, he had come prepared. The evidence was irrefutable. Sarah's face turned ashen, and she wobbled slightly, struggling to stay upright. She mused to herself, how could this happen? How was all of this recorded? Daniel was equally astonished. There was no surveillance, so how did Timothy get the video, he wondered. The classroom fell silent for a moment before a buzz of murmurs erupted. Wow, Sarah really did snatch Jennifer's case, someone whispered. Does this mean the model Sarah just handed in was actually made by Jennifer? But why did Jennifer have a spare ready? Another voice added. After watching the video, Vincent spoke up. What the hell is going on here? He was utterly confused. Jennifer's eyes remained fixed on the projector screen. As the video clearly shows, he personally proved her cynic. Daniel cut her off, saying, Jennifer, think before you speak. His voice quivered with unease. Write your comment. Our gifts. Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought Sarah was anxious. Jennifer turned her gaze toward Daniel, her eyes darkened with disappointment. Daniel felt the weight of her stare settle heavily on him. He knew, at that moment, that Jennifer was done listening to him. She forced a small smile. Daniel, when you were doing all that just now, did you ever think about how it would end up? Daniel was taken aback and rendered speechless. With Timothy now unveiling the video evidence, he realized there was no point in trying to explain himself anymore. After a moment of hesitation, he finally muttered, but we're family, right? Timothy's voice dropped to a chilling edge. You're just realizing your family. When you stole my fiancé's model and handed it to Sarah, did you think of that? Daniel retorted defensively, I was doing this for her benefit. Timothy retorted, his tone unyielding, so exposing your lies is for your benefit, too, to prevent you from becoming a deceitful fraud. Daniel was left speechless, unable to muster a single retort. Sarah was anxious seeing how the tide was turning. Sarah panicked and burst into tears. Professor Moore, it's all my fault. I wanted your approval so badly that I ended up doing something terrible. Daniel interjected, this was my idea, not Sarah's. She's completely innocent in this. Vincent, perplexed, asked, why would you do this? Because I was trying to help Sarah achieve better results. The video clearly shows me taking the box from Jennifer and giving it to Sarah. She had nothing to do with it. Daniel instinctively defended Sarah, desperate to shield her from the fallout. Meanwhile, Sarah's tears flowed freely, and she felt a wave of relief. She mused, thank goodness I have someone to take the blame. Watching Daniel protect Sarah stirred something in Jennifer. A sense of unease twisted in her stomach. Daniel had once been so kind to her, but everything had changed once Sarah entered the Hargreaves family. Now, though, she found herself no longer caring. Vincent, overwhelmed by the complexity of the situation, finally turned toward Timothy. Sarah was anxious. Mr. Clark, how do you think we should handle this? Professor Moore, I think you should ask Jennifer. She's the one who's truly affected, Timothy replied, then shifted his calm gaze to her. Jennifer looked up at Timothy, surprise dancing in her eyes. She thought, so this is what it feels like to have someone stand up for you. It's been so long since I felt this way. Timothy's tone took on a commanding quality. Speak your mind, no one can make you do otherwise. Sarah jumped in first. Jennifer, I should have insisted that Daniel not do anything so reckless. You should blame me instead. Jennifer turned to Vincent with a sincere smile. I'm sorry for taking up your time, but this isn't really a problem on my end. The model that Sarah submitted was made by me, so I hope she'll return it. She should rely on her own efforts for future assignments. Vincent felt a wave of pride for Jennifer's graceful handling of the situation. He addressed Sarah, "This time your assignment will score 0. I hope this serves as a wake-up call for you. Since Jennifer isn't pursuing it any further, let's put this behind us." Sarah nodded, her face a mask of embarrassment. Silently Sarah was anxious, seething at how Jennifer had outsmarted her in this instance. As Jennifer followed Timothy out of the classroom, she glanced at him curiously. "What are you doing here?" Timothy looked slightly flustered and turned his head away. "I just happened to be here for something and happened to see everything." "Such a coincidence." Jennifer raised an eyebrow. "Hey, you know how life is full of coincidences. Besides, I didn't even shoot the video," he replied. Jennifer smiled, a genuine warmth spreading across her face. She said, "Well, thank you anyway." Timothy's demeanor shifted slightly, his tone assertive. "Remember your place, you're my fiancé now. You don't have to worry about what anyone else thinks." His confidence was a little overbearing, but oddly, it made Jennifer feel safe. She mused, "Is he really standing up for me?" Jennifer nodded obediently, her voice soft. "I understand. You go ahead and take care of what you need to do. I have to get back to class." With her cane in hand, she turned to head back, only to run into Daniel as he stepped out of a nearby room. "Jennifer, are you?" Sarah was anxious. "Happy now?" he asked, a hint of sarcasm lacing his words. Jennifer didn't even look up, ignoring him completely. Daniel felt a pang of frustration at being brushed off. He reached out and grabbed her arm. "I'm talking to you. With the Clark family backing you up, you've forgotten basic manners." Timothy's voice cut through the tension like a knife. "Let her go. Mr. Clark, I'm having a conversation with my sister. This isn't any of your business." Daniel shot back defiantly. Eric chimed in, a smirk on his face. "Mr. Daniel Hargreaves, are you really that oblivious? Ms. Hargreaves is injured and your grip is going to make her fall." Realizing the truth in his words, Daniel reluctantly released Jennifer's arm. "I don't need you to remind me. Actually, you do. You claim to care about Ms. Hargreaves, but you're showing less concern than a complete stranger. What kind of brother does that?" Daniel was left speechless, the words hitting him hard. He glanced down at Jennifer's injured foot, a wave of guilt washing over him. "I just thought you were faking it," he mumbled, the regret creeping into his voice. Jennifer didn't look back as she walked into the classroom. Sarah was anxious, refusing to acknowledge him. Watching her retreating figure, Daniel felt a knot tighten in his chest. He thought to himself, Jennifer has really changed. Is she upset with me? IR gifts kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought no thanks for hollow concerns. Timothy shot a cold glare at Daniel. "Jennifer is my fiancée now, not some puppet for the Hargreaves family." Daniel retorted, "But your engagement is just a contractual arrangement. According to the agreement, Mr. Clark, you have no right to meddle in my sister's affairs. Until that contract is dissolved, she remains my fiancée. If the Hargreaves family is uninterested in continuing this partnership, feel free to cancel it at any time." Timothy's voice was firm, leaving Daniel momentarily speechless. He couldn't bring himself to say that the partnership should end. After all, when Asher's company was on the brink of bankruptcy, it was Jennifer's engagement to Timothy that saved it. Terminating the cooperation now would plunge Asher's company back into chaos. Frustrated, Daniel replied, "But my sister's engagement to you is nothing but a sham. I hope you don't start taking it seriously. Stay away from her." Timothy scoffed, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Now you know. Thanks for hollow concerns. Care about her. Where was this concern before?" Eric, standing nearby, chimed in. "If I hadn't just witnessed you grab Ms. Hargreaves' model and pressure her to apologize to the teacher, I would have doubted she's actually your sister. What kind of brother treats a stranger better than his own blood?" Daniel shouted, "You have no idea. Sarah's mother saved Jennifer's life." Eric said, "Paying debts comes in many forms, but throwing Ms. Hargreaves under the bus is just absurd." Timothy interrupted, "We're leaving." With that, Eric fell silent, having reached his limit of patience. The situation was simply too much for him. He had never seen such favoritism from a brother. Jennifer walked into the classroom and settled down just as Vincent began the lesson. Her mind, however, drifted. Timothy's unexpected appearance weighed heavily on her thoughts. Once class concluded, Vincent called for her. "Jennifer, can you stay behind? I'd like to discuss some issues regarding the design model." "No thanks for hollow concerns, of course," she replied without hesitation. Sarah glared with envy at Jennifer as she stayed behind. Jealousy bubbled within her. She had long aspired to be part of Vincent's projects, but kept running into obstacles. Sarah had hoped to leverage the model Jennifer created to leave a good impression, but now that avenue was cut off thanks to Jennifer. As frustrated as she was, Sarah had no choice but to bide her time. But giving up? That was off the table. In the classroom, Jennifer detailed her design ideas to Vincent. She had actually held back on sharing the most critical elements before, but now she wanted to impress him. After she finished explaining, Vincent looked genuinely amazed. Jennifer, you've really leveled up. Vincent had previously held reservations about her progress, but this time, after her thorough presentation, he believed she genuinely had what it took. Jennifer smiled shyly, saying, I've come to understand a few things. Vincent added, that's good to hear. I have a project coming up and I'd love for you to join. Your insights just solved a major problem for me. Welcome to my design team. No thanks for hollow concerns, thank you, Professor Moore. I'll give it my all. Jennifer was taken aback by his direct invitation. She had thought she would need to work harder to earn such an opportunity. After their discussion wrapped up, Jennifer leaned on her cane and slowly made her way out of the classroom and toward the study room. She needed to hit the books and refresh her knowledge to prepare for joining Vincent's team. After all, she wanted to be equipped with as much expertise as possible. After settling down in the study room, Jennifer received a message from Jessie, Ms. Hargreaves, it's certainly an honor to collaborate with you. Jennifer, I'll send you the song first and get your thoughts. She attached the song she'd written, Rainy, and sent it right over. Jessie replied promptly, this is really well written. Are you sure you don't want to collaborate with Daniel? Jennifer responded, yes, I'm sure. If anyone else is interested in this song, I'm open to a collaboration. Jessie said, I'll check around and see what I can find. No thanks for hollow concerns. Jennifer was in need of money. There was no way she'd give the song to Daniel, even if it meant selling it to someone else. Immersed in her book, she didn't notice how much time had passed until her stomach gave a loud growl. Glancing at the clock, she realized it was already late. Jennifer packed up her things and headed out, but just as she was about to leave, her phone rang. Glancing at the screen, she saw it was Asher calling. She didn't answer. As Jennifer approached the school gate, she spotted Asher's car parked by the curb. Asher looked frustrated. Why didn't you pick up when I called you? Jennifer's expression remained cold. Didn't notice it. My hands were full. As he noticed her limping with a cane, Asher's concern deepened. How bad is the injury? Why hasn't it healed yet? Has the Clark family even gotten you proper medical care? Let me take you to the hospital. Jennifer brushed his hand away. I'm fine. I'm heading back. No thanks for hollow concerns now. But Asher wasn't about to let her go that easily. He grabbed her wrist firmly. Where do you think you're going? The Hargreaves villa is your home. You're coming back with me. Write your comment. IR gifts kicked out of the wealthy family. Foe. Taken away by force. Jennifer couldn't believe Asher was actually using force to bring her back. She retreated a step, pushing against him. Let me go. I'm not going back. As your guardian, it's my responsibility. You have no say in this. But I'm an adult now, she insisted, her voice steady but laced with defiance. Despite her protests, Asher managed to shove her into the car. As Jennifer settled in, she said with a touch of irony, honestly, going back won't make any of you happy. Why bother? She mused bitterly, I was even kicked out of the Hargreaves family in my previous life. Wouldn't it just be doing them a favor if I left now? Asher said, Jennifer, I get that you're upset, but you can't put yourself in danger. Timothy is not someone you can trust. It's like sending a lamb to the wolves. Timothy at least provides me with food and shelter. He didn't toss me out to sleep on the street, cut off my credit card, or steal taken away by forcing me designs to give to someone else. He hasn't forced me to take the blame for something I didn't do. Jennifer's tone was calm but sharp, slicing through Asher's arguments. For a moment, Asher found himself unable to meet those piercing eyes. With a heavy sigh, he realized how deeply upset she was, how much she felt wronged. I know you've been hurt. I've already talked to Daniel about turning off your credit card. As for the model, let's discuss it when we get home. I promise I'll make things right. Jennifer felt completely drained, leaning back against the seat and closing her eyes, tuning out the chatter around her. No matter how much she explained her situation, nobody seemed willing to listen. Asher observed how resistant she was. He knew this sulking was all due to her anger over Sarah. But when he heard that Timothy had come to school today to support Jennifer, Asher understood he couldn't leave her with a man he deemed dangerous. He had to bring her back home. The car pulled into the Hargreaves villa, and as Asher stepped taken away by force out, Sarah rushed over, a plate of fruit in her hands. Asher, you must be exhausted. Have some fruit for those vitamins. Seeing Sarah so caring and thoughtful filled Asher with warmth. He mused, thank goodness she's being so considerate, I don't have to worry about her. As he opened the car door, he glanced inside. Jennifer, we're home. Time to get out. Sarah followed his gaze, her expression shifting from concern to shock as she spotted Jennifer in the car. She mused, I can't believe Asher brought Jennifer back. Quickly recovering, Sarah switched to a cheerful tone. Jennifer, you're finally back. We've all been so worried about you. If I'm in your way, just say the word and I'll gladly move out of your room. Asher chuckled, witnessing Sarah's overzealous hospitality. You stay where you are, Sarah. Jennifer can have your room. Wait, Asher, that's not right. That room belongs to Jennifer. I couldn't just take over, that would upset her, Sarah protested, acting all too magnanimous. Asher felt a swell of appreciation for her apparent selflessness. You're quite generous to consider that. Jennifer perched in the car and felt her stomach churn at taken away by force Sarah's charade. How long is this performance going to last? Jennifer couldn't help but think, what a fake. I used to fall for Sarah's act too. In her past life, Sarah had turned out to be nothing but an ungrateful opportunist. Jennifer had uncovered evidence of Sarah's treachery, how she had secretly stolen confidential documents from Asher and handed them over to someone else. But when Jennifer tried to confront him, Asher refused to believe her and ended up throwing her out of the house. After that, the Clark family broke off their engagement with her. Not long after, the Hargreaves family's business began to falter. Sarah had managed to marry into wealth by leveraging the Hargreaves name, but when trouble hit, she was quick to distance herself from the family. What ultimately happened to the Hargreaves family? Jennifer had no idea because, by then, she was already dead. Asher frowned at Jennifer. Can you please talk to me like an adult? Daniel stepped out, his expression cold. Jennifer, you're home. Are you planning to sit in the car all day? Do we need to roll out the red carpet for you? Taken away by force with a huff, Jennifer hopped out of the car on one foot, making her way to the trunk to grab her cane. It suddenly struck Asher that her foot was still injured. He rushed over. Let me help you with that. I can manage, she snapped, irritation bubbling to the surface. Seriously, I'll do it. You shouldn't be straining yourself, Asher urged. Jennifer's patience wore thin. I said I don't need help. With that, she retrieved her cane herself. At that moment, a flustered maid named Amanda Danes hurried over. Ms. Hargreaves, let me assist you. Mr. Asher Hargreaves, Ms. Hargreaves is still injured. How do you expect her to get out of the car with everyone just chatting away, and no one offering to get her cane? Asher sighed, I honestly forgot about her injury for a second. Amanda continued, her tone scolding, that's just it, isn't it? You didn't think about her at all. Ms. Hargreaves has never faced real hardship. A foot injury like that must be incredibly painful, right? Jennifer shook her head, trying to downplay it. Amanda, I'm fine now. Taken away by force, Daniel's face twisted in discomfort. Amanda, did you hear that? She said she's okay. If anything, Sarah's the one who's hurt more seriously. Why is Jennifer still playing the victim? Amanda couldn't hold back. Mr. Daniel Hargreaves, are you really that oblivious? That day you pushed Ms. Hargreaves down the stairs with such force. Do you even realize how cruel that was to your own sister? Daniel was momentarily at a loss for words, caught off guard by her boldness. Sarah quickly jumped in to defuse the tension. Amanda, Daniel was just reacting to the situation. It's my fault for pushing things too far. If you're looking for someone to blame, put it on me. Write your comment. 1 Gifts kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought hated everything. Hated everything about the Hargreaves family. Amanda rolled her eyes. Oh, Ms. Campbell, I wouldn't dream of blaming you. Jennifer quickly stepped in to stop Amanda. She didn't want anyone fighting her battles for her. Honestly, Jennifer felt like she didn't need any of this drama anymore. As she made her way into the foyer, Daniel stormed in behind her. Jennifer, you still owe me an explanation about what happened at school today. Jennifer thought to herself, an explanation. I knew coming back would lead to this. I'm so tired of all of it. Just because I keep my cool doesn't mean I'm okay with everything. She looked up at Daniel, barely containing her frustration. Explain what? The truth was crystal clear in class. What more do you want me to say? Hated everything about the Daniel's voice rose as if she'd committed some grave offense. Jennifer, don't take this too far. You knew Sarah got hurt because of you. How could you back out of doing her project and even think about exposing her? That's beyond cruel. With an expression devoid of emotion, Jennifer set her cane aside and settled down on the couch. I didn't want to keep making the same mistake. Daniel was defiant. How is this a mistake? From the sidelines, Amanda chimed in, making Ms. Hargreaves do someone else's homework. How is that not lying? How is that not wrong? There's no proof that Ms. Hargreaves caused Sarah's injury. There comes a point when enough is enough. Daniel's irritation boiled over. Amanda, that incident was clearly Jennifer's doing. I'm talking to Jennifer, you don't need to butt in. Amanda retorted, I might be an outsider, but some folks here are outsiders, too. Daniel lost it. How is that the same? Sarah, playing the peacemaker, spoke up, Daniel, Amanda isn't entirely wrong. I really am an outsider. I shouldn't have asked Jennifer for help on my work in the first place. Daniel snapped, don't say that. This has nothing to do with you hated everything about the Ha. Asher interjected as he sank into the couch, let it go, Daniel. Amanda is part of the family. She's taken care of you guys for years. Asher's tone was serious as he turned to Jennifer. Look, I know you feel wronged and that's why you're acting out. But there's got to be some limits, right? Jennifer averted her gaze, thinking, I knew it would come to this. They always want me to back down and accept things. Asher continued, Jennifer, it's not as simple as you think. Living with Timothy, that's not going to do your reputation any favors. He's my fiancé, Jennifer shot back defiantly. Right, but we both know that engagement is more of a business deal. Once my company stabilizes, I'm ending that engagement. I won't let you marry someone who's essentially helpless, Asher said bluntly. At the mention of helpless, Jennifer frowned. Asher, he's not as bad as you think. At least over the past few days, her experience with Timothy had proven he was nothing like the rumors suggested. Asher's tone hardened. No matter what, you can't keep living hated everything about the Ha with him. I'll let Daniel apologize to you for that incident. Asher was sure Jennifer's outburst stemmed from the chaos of the party. Daniel's discomfort was palpable. I'll apologize, sure, but Jennifer has to apologize to Sarah first. If I hadn't been there today, Sarah would have been in serious trouble thanks to Jennifer revealing her project was a sham. Jennifer retorted, for starters, I didn't out Sarah's cheating. And she could have easily redone her project today, but she chose not to because she wanted to take the one I did. Daniel snapped, you think this is all Sarah's fault? Jennifer, bring your anger to me. Sarah doesn't owe you a thing, her mother even saved your life. A mocking smile appeared on Jennifer's face as she sat in silence, saying nothing. Asher's voice cut through the air, stern and commanding. Daniel, apologize to Jennifer right now. I said, she needs to apologize to Sarah first, Daniel said. Sarah, ever the peacemaker, chimed in gently, Daniel, it's okay. Jennifer doesn't need to apologize to me. I admit I had a part in this mess, too. Why don't you make peace with Jennifer? Can't we just be a family again like old times? Asher nodded approvingly. Sarah's right. A simple apology hated everything about the Ha. From you as her brother, and we can all go back to being a happy family like before. The word family hit Jennifer like a slap in the face, its irony stinging more than she expected. She grabbed her cane. There's no need. Daniel's face was a mask of barely contained frustration. Jennifer, wait. I admit, pushing you down the stairs was an impulsive move, but you provoked me by shoving Sarah. I had to step in. I hope you've learned your lesson from all of this. Jennifer's thoughts swirled with bitterness. Is this even an apology? They're all talking down to me as if everything is my fault. If I don't accept their apology, that'll be my fault too. I hate this. I've had enough. Without another word, she turned on her heel and walked away. Behind her, Daniel's voice rose in indignation. I said I'm sorry. What more do you want? Don't push your luck. No apology accepted. Jennifer froze at Daniel's words. She leaned heavily on her cane, unable to hold back any longer. Jennifer turned to face them, her voice laced with bitterness. So what? Is apologizing such a monumental feat? Daniel sensed the distance in her demeanor and narrowed his eyes. What do you mean? Jennifer's gaze was icy as she retorted, I mean, just because you apologize doesn't mean I have to accept it. What do you want me to do, then? He asked, frustration creeping into his voice. As with a steely glare, Jennifer replied, I already told you. I won't accept your so-called superior apology. What else do you want from me? Daniel was momentarily taken aback, struggling to find the right words. After a long pause, he finally managed to say, I'm just trying to figure out what it would take for you to stop sulking. You do realize your mood has cast a shadow over the whole house, right? No apology accepted. Sarah stepped forward. Jennifer, think about it. Things were so much better when we all lived together. Sure, we had our little squabbles, but after you left, everyone felt the weight of your absence. Jennifer shook her head vehemently. But I don't want to live with you all anymore. Her conviction was clear. She had no intention of returning to the Hargreaves villa. Amanda interjected, Ms. Hargreaves is the true heiress of the Hargreaves family. She's put up with so much over the years just to keep the peace in this house. Why should she continue to be the one who sacrifices? Jennifer was the rightful heiress, and Sarah's arrival had shifted the balance in ways they all felt. Asher, feeling a pang of guilt, said, Jennifer, I'm sorry I've been so wrapped up in work that I didn't notice what was happening at home. I promise it won't happen again. Before Jennifer could respond, Amanda jumped in, saying, so if Ms. Hargreaves is coming back, shouldn't we at least prepare her room? Otherwise, how can she swallow this? Sarah's expression faltered for a moment, but she quickly masked it with a smile. Amanda has a point. I really should give up the room, it was Jennifer's to begin with. No apology accepted, Jennifer. To prove you're the most important one. That everyone has to bend to your will. Sarah tugged gently at Daniel's sleeve, her voice barely above a whisper. Daniel, it's okay. Just being part of the Hargreaves family is a blessing for me. I shouldn't be greedy. Amanda couldn't resist adding, at least you know your place. Sarah looked down, her eyes cold but her demeanor still composed. Asher watched Sarah's understanding nature and sighed, wishing Jennifer could show the same maturity. Jennifer, are you satisfied with how things are being handled now? Jennifer replied, let's not complicate things. After all, Sarah's mother saved my life. She's still healing, so it's best if she stays there. I'll just use the guest room for tonight. After all, she only stayed for one night. Amanda was visibly anxious. Ms. Hargreaves, how can you be so generous? Jennifer shrugged dismissively. Honestly, I don't mind. Just whip up my favorite snacks, okay? Sure thing, I'll get right on it, Amanda said. Sarah turned to Asher. Asher, I'll head to the kitchen too, and no apology accepted, go for it, Asher encouraged, watching her leave with a mix of admiration and concern. He mused, if only Jennifer could be as agreeable as Sarah. Asher rubbed his temples, saying, Daniel, you need to be a bit kinder to Jennifer. She's your sister, not your employee. Daniel frowned. I get that, but look at what Jennifer's done. I'm genuinely upset. We're trying to help her, and she turns around and leaves. Honestly, Asher, you shouldn't have brought her back. Asher glared at Daniel. Daniel, that's enough. Jennifer might be acting out, being difficult, but she's still part of the Hargreaves family. I can't just stand by and watch her get manipulated by the Clark family. Daniel fell silent. Asher clutched his head, a familiar ache setting in. His old migraine was acting up again. By the time dinner came around, Jennifer made her way downstairs, leaning on her cane. She took a seat farthest from everyone else at the table, deliberately putting distance between herself and the rest of the family. Sarah tried to bridge the gap. Jennifer, I made your favorite no apology accepted dish. You should try it. Jennifer didn't even spare it a glance, and as soon as the meal was over, she left the dining room without a word. Daniel's voice broke the silence. Asher, did you see Jennifer's attitude? Asher rubbed his temples wearily. Amanda, I've got a splitting headache. Please have the kitchen prepare some traditional medicine. Amanda said, Mr. Asher Hargreaves, the traditional medicine you used to drink was personally brewed by Ms. Hargreaves. Daniel scoffed, dismissive. Just follow the recipe. It can't be that hard, right? Amanda shook her head. No one in the kitchen can get it right except Ms. Hargreaves herself. Write your comment at gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought guilt. Daniel shook his head in disbelief. No way. That can't be right. He thought to himself, what's so hard about traditional medicine? Anyone can brew it, right? Amanda responded earnestly, actually, it's quite a hassle. It all starts with selecting the right herbs, and then there's the brewing process. The timing of adding each ingredient is crucial. Ms. Hargreaves used to oversee it all herself, sometimes standing by the stove for hours. Asher's eyes widened in surprise. I had no idea it was that complicated. I thought it was just a quick fix. He had been struggling with chronic migraines due to his hectic work schedule, trying countless medications without relief. It was only when Jennifer found a remedy from an old traditional doctor that he finally experienced some relief. Every time a migraine hit, the herbal concoction worked wonders. Asher had grown accustomed to it over the years but never realized how much effort Jennifer put into preparing it. Guilt. The realization hit him hard. He felt a lump in his chest. He had taken her efforts for granted, letting his own busyness blind him to the sacrifices she made. This neglect over the years had driven a wedge between them. Amanda continued, and that's not all. When Ms. Hargreaves first sought out that old doctor, she faced a lot of rejection. The guy has a notorious temper, and Ms. Hargreaves really went through the ringer to get that remedy. Asher felt a wave of guilt wash over him. I really didn't appreciate what Jennifer has done for us. Amanda said, Mr. Asher Hargreaves, just because Ms. Hargreaves doesn't talk about her contributions doesn't mean she hasn't made any. Unlike some people who constantly need to broadcast their efforts to get noticed, Jennifer's quiet concern for her brothers often went unnoticed simply because she wasn't one to flaunt her feelings. Sarah clenched her teeth, thinking, this old woman is always targeting me. But on the surface, she maintained her smile, saying, Asher, I'm sure Jennifer will brew you some traditional medicine once she hears about your headaches. If I could just learn how to make it myself, he wouldn't need Jennifer at all, she thought. Guilt. Asher glanced at Amanda with a hint of hope before saying, it's fine. I can tough it out. He knew Jennifer was likely sulking and wouldn't be inclined to help him. Deep down, he realized he owed her an apology but felt too proud to ask. Daniel, feeling justified, turned to Amanda. Make sure you remind Jennifer to get up early tomorrow to brew Asher's medicine. Asher waved his hand dismissively. No need for that. Jennifer just got back, let her rest a bit longer. Daniel insisted, but Jennifer isn't busy with anything, so what's the big deal? You've been good to her all these years. You've worked himself to the bone for the family business and she should pitch in. Amanda crossed her arms, her frustration bubbling over. Mr. Daniel Hargreaves, that's not fair. I won't be the one to say it. You can tell her yourself. With that, Amanda stormed off, leaving Daniel to point at her retreating figure. See, Asher, Jennifer's definitely been influenced by Amanda. In the end, no one brought up the idea of asking Jennifer to guilt brew the medicine. Asher felt a simmering irritation as he walked away, feeling like no one had any sense of gratitude. Daniel, also feeling a bit down, turned to Sarah. By the way, about that new song you sent me yesterday. It didn't really hit the mark. The company is looking for something more uplifting. Can you think of something else? Sure, Daniel. I'll put my thinking cap on, Sarah replied, her own frustration evident. Once back in her room, Sarah found herself staring at Jennifer's belongings. Curiosity got the better of her, and she rummaged through Jennifer's desk. Sure enough, she stumbled upon some handwritten drafts. After reading through them, Sarah snapped a quick photo before putting the papers back. But then she hesitated, her resolve hardening. She pulled the drafts out again, tore them into pieces, and flushed them down the toilet. I won't give up my place in the Hargreaves family that easily. I'll make sure to take Jennifer's spot. Guilt. In the guest room, Jennifer lay on the bed, staring at her phone. She hesitated, thinking, should I message Timothy and let him know I won't be back tonight? But if I do, it might seem like I'm assuming too much. Timothy probably couldn't care less where I am. She gazed at their WhatsApp chat, which had remained eerily silent since they had added each other as contacts. Truth be told, it was only out of respect for Angelina that Timothy had accepted her friend request in the first place. After mulling it over for a long time, she finally thought, but if I say nothing, with Timothy's personality, he might not let me in next time. With a sigh, she typed out a message. Asher brought me back to the Hargreaves villa. I won't be back tonight. As soon as she hit send, her heart began to race. She had no idea how Timothy would respond. Meanwhile, at the King Villa, Timothy sat on the couch, his gaze drifting outward. But it was the butler, Ryan Bates, who walked in. Seizing the opportunity, Eric spoke up, Mr. Clark, it's about time. Ms. Hargreaves returned. Should I arrange a car to fetch Guilt her? Timothy's cold gaze swept over him. You seem quite concerned about her, don't you? Write your comment. Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought stop being a fool. Timothy sat on the couch with an expressionless face. Eric said, Mr. Clark, considering that Ms. Hargreaves is your fiancée, you really should put on a show for appearances. If Madam Clark hears about this, it might just make her day. Timothy remained silent, his eyes fixed ahead. Ryan leaned closer. Mr. Clark, I honestly think Ms. Hargreaves is just playing you. She's acting all pitiful to stick around, and once she's made her public debut, she'll be back with the Hargreaves family. She's using you. Timothy's expression darkened at Ryan's words. Eric chimed in, I don't see it that way. Maybe Ms. Hargreaves has something important going on. If she had any decency, she would have at least sent Mr. Clark a message to let him know where she is. The fact that she hasn't speaks volumes, Ryan said. Just then, Timothy noticed his phone light up with a new message. Eric handed him the phone. Mr. Clark, it might be a message from Ms. Hargreaves. Stop being a fool, after all, who else would be messaging him? Eric thought, knowing that aside from Jennifer, there wasn't anyone else. Timothy glanced at the screen and almost on instinct picked it up. To his surprise, it was indeed a message from Jennifer. His brow furrowed slightly as he read her words. Timothy mused, she has been picked up by Asher. Eric's eyes darted to the message. Mr. Clark, I think Ms. Hargreaves might have been taken against her will. With everything that happened at school today, the Hargreaves family is definitely going to be on her case. They're so biased. Timothy recalled the scene at school where Jennifer had been treated unfairly. He could picture her leaning on her cane, her back straight, yet her eyes held an unmistakable distance and coldness. "Look into this," Timothy said. Ryan said, "Mr. Clark, I really think this is just a ploy by the Hargreaves family. You shouldn't waste your time on them." Eric quickly responded, "Ryan, Ms. Hargreaves is Mr. Clark's fiancé. This is different." Eric thought, "Plus, it's good for Mr. Clark to have someone around. After all, Ms. Hargreaves might not truly side with the Hargreaves family." "Stop being a fool." Timothy stared at the message on his phone, his expression inscrutable. He opened the chat but couldn't decide how to respond. Frustrated, Timothy tossed the phone aside and picked up the book in his lap, but his mind was elsewhere. Meanwhile, Jennifer was anxiously waiting for Timothy's reply, but nothing came through. She thought, "Did he even get my message?" "Ms. Hargreaves, it's time for dinner," someone called from downstairs. At the sound of the voice, Jennifer emerged from her guest room, leaning on her cane as she made her way down the stairs. "How did you sleep last night?" Asher asked, rubbing his temples on the couch. He hadn't slept well at all, and the absence of Jennifer's traditional medicine made his headache feel worse than usual. Jennifer noticed Asher's discomfort and guessed his migraine was acting up again. She quickly averted her gaze, pretending not to notice. In her previous life, she had worked tirelessly to find the old stop being a full traditional doctor who provided the remedy for Asher's migraines. The recipe was demanding, and she was the only one who could prepare it. Each time Asher suffered from a headache, she would wake up at the crack of dawn to brew the medicine. But then Sarah had made her own medicinal soup, and Asher had praised Sarah's efforts, claiming that without her soup, his migraines wouldn't have improved. But could a soup compare to an actual remedy? Of course not. Asher had dismissed all Jennifer's hard work for a simple bowl of soup. "So this time, I won't be a fool. If Asher prefers Sarah's soup, then let him have it. I won't compete for recognition anymore." Jennifer, leaning on her cane, made her way to the dining room and sat down without a word, not even bothering to inquire about the situation. Asher watched her retreating figure, a flicker of disappointment in his eyes. He had barely slept the night before, rising early with the expectation that Jennifer would already be in the kitchen, brewing his medicine. "Stop being a fool." To his surprise, the kitchen was empty. Believing Jennifer simply didn't know, he purposefully took a seat, waiting for her to notice. Yet, despite clearly seeing him, she said nothing. A wry smile appeared on Asher's face. It was evident that Jennifer was truly angry this time. Previously, any sign of discomfort arose, and Jennifer would be in a frenzy, circling around him like a worried mother hen, ensuring he took his medicine. Only now, amidst the discomfort, did Asher realize how much he had taken that for granted. With a throbbing headache, Asher joined Jennifer in the dining room. As he sat down, he fixed his gaze on her, and his voice hoarse, said, "Jennifer, I know you've been wrong before. If there's anything you want, just tell me." Jennifer sipped her warm water, her tone indifferent. "There's nothing I want." In truth, all she wanted was to leave this place behind. At that moment, Sarah appeared, carrying a bowl of medicinal soup. "Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought. My request is simple." "My request is simply." As Jennifer caught sight of Sarah carrying the medicinal soup, a flicker of sarcasm danced in her eyes. "Here we go again," she thought. In the past, every time Jennifer brewed her traditional medicine, Sarah would conveniently whip up a bowl of her own soup. Asher would always praise Sarah for her thoughtfulness, while Jennifer's hours of effort were brushed aside as if they didn't matter. She mused, "Well, not anymore. If Sarah wants to play the hero, I won't be the fool who competes for his attention." Sarah said sweetly, "Hey, Asher, I made this medicinal soup for you this morning. I noticed you were struggling with your migraine last night. While I can't make traditional medicine, this soup should help ease your headache. Give it a try." Asher looked at Sarah with appreciation. "You didn't have to do that. You could have just let the staff handle it." Sarah replied, her voice soft but firm, "Not a chance. You do so much for this family. Making a little soup is the least I can do." She wore a look of innocent devotion, and Asher felt a warmth in. "My request is simple." His chest. Just then, Daniel swaggered into the room, a smug grin on his face. "Wow, look at Sarah. She knows Asher is sick and even makes him soup." Meanwhile, some people just sit around and complain about favoritism without lifting a finger. Maybe they should take notes. Jennifer put down her cup, her expression laced with sarcasm. She mused, "Did all my efforts really mean nothing?" Amanda jumped in, defending Jennifer. "Ms. Hargreaves has made medicine for Mr. Asher Hargreaves before. Can't you see that, Mr. Daniel Hargreaves?" Daniel smirked. "But she didn't do it today, did she?" Amanda retorted. "So what if she didn't this time? Is it a crime?" "Mr. Asher Hargreaves hasn't said anything about it." Amanda couldn't stand how they always favored Sarah, the so-called innocent girl. Sarah interjected quickly, Daniel, Amanda's right. Jennifer has made traditional medicine before. My soup doesn't even compare to what she can do. Daniel scoffed. Honestly, I think they're about the same. Who knows, maybe Asher's headache got better just because of the soup. Asher tried to defuse the tension. Daniel, don't stir the pot, my request is simple here. Jennifer shook her head at Amanda, signaling her to drop it. She thought there was no point in arguing. Daniel fell silent for a moment, then turned to Jennifer. You need to give me that new song today. The company needs it for review, and if it gets rejected, we'll waste more time fixing it. Jennifer raised an eyebrow. What new song? She hadn't agreed to write anything for him. Daniel said, irritation creeping into his voice cut the act. I told you before, if you come back, I'll let you write the lead single. But it has to be good, no room for garbage. Hearing this, Sarah felt a pang of annoyance at Daniel for still letting Jennifer write songs. She looked up and said, Jennifer, I'm so envious of you. I wish I could be as talented as you one day. Daniel quickly reassured Sarah, you're doing great, Sarah. If it weren't for Jennifer throwing a tantrum, I wouldn't have ever considered using her songs. At that moment, Jennifer lost her appetite. She stood up, leaning heavily on her cane. Perfect timing, because I don't want to write a song for you. My request is simple, Jennifer, hold on. What's your problem? I've already agreed to use your song. What more do you want? You're being unreasonable. Daniel snapped. Jennifer said, I just said I don't want to write a song for you. Do you understand? Her serious demeanor only fueled Daniel's anger. How long do you plan to keep this up? Do you want to make this house a battlefield? Because of you, everyone is miserable. Jennifer replied coolly, then just pretend I don't exist. She had no intention of dragging this conversation any further. Jennifer mused, I can't stay in this house for another second. Jennifer was ready to leave, but Daniel blocked her path. Jennifer, I'm using your song as the lead single this time, and I won't ask for any changes. Isn't that enough? Jennifer looked at him, bewildered. Is Daniel deaf? She wondered. Turning to Asher, she said, Asher, I think I made myself pretty clear earlier. If Daniel doesn't get it, maybe you can explain it to him. Asher took a moment before speaking. Jennifer, Daniel, just my request is simple, wants you to stay here with the family. He meant no harm. Please, if there's anything you need, just let us know. Sarah chimed in. Exactly, Jennifer, whatever you need, just say the word, and I'll help any way I can. Daniel frowned. Jennifer, direct your demands at us. Leave Sarah out of it. She owes you nothing. Seeing the tension, Amanda leaned in toward Jennifer and whispered, Ms. Hargreaves, just state your demands quickly. Jennifer's patience had reached its limit. With a calm but firm voice, she replied, my request is simple. Be write your comment. Ir gifts kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought loud and clear. Daniel let out a frustrated huff, realizing that Jennifer's stunts were merely a pretext to voice her demands. Jennifer boldly stated, first, I won't be writing you a new song. Second, I'm moving out. Surprise flickered in Daniel's eyes. He grasped her wrist tightly. Jennifer, there's a limit to how much someone can take. What else are you after? He mused, I've already bent over backwards to accommodate her. Isn't that enough? Without warning, Jennifer lashed out, swinging her cane into Daniel's shin. The force sent plates crashing to the floor, scattering food everywhere. Sarah barely managed to step aside as the mess splattered across her. Silence fell over the dining room. Jennifer fixed her steely gaze on the group, a frown etched onto her face. Can we finally have a proper conversation without the theatrics? She mused, my words are loud and clear. Why couldn't they loud and clear just let me go? Daniel's voice broke the silence. Are you out of your mind, Jennifer? Are you okay, Sarah? I'm fine, Sarah replied, brushing crumbs off her clothes. Look at your hands. They're burnt. There's no way you're fine. Jennifer did that on purpose. You had plans for your crafts. Daniel exclaimed, anger bubbling up. With tears welling in her eyes, Sarah defended Jennifer. Daniel, I know what Jennifer wants. Maybe I should just move out. I'm not really a part of the Hargreaves family. Living here is just putting a strain on all of you. Asher interjected, frustration creeping into his words. Sarah, don't say that. When we brought you back, we welcomed you into the Hargreaves family. You belong here. Honestly, Asher, I've mentioned before that Jennifer's attitude needs an adjustment. But no, you insisted on bringing her back into the fold, and look where we are now. She doesn't give a damn about your struggles, not even a little. She's cold-hearted. What's so special about her that we should treat her well? Daniel said. Asher turned to Jennifer, his brow furrowed. You should apologize to Sarah, Jennifer. It struck Asher as bemusing how Jennifer had escalated her antics. Loud and clear, he thought. She used to be fiery, but what is happening now? It is beyond the pale. Jennifer scoffed, an expression of disdain crossing her face. Apologize? Me? A cold-hearted person like myself? Not a chance. With her irritation bubbling over, she turned on her heel and headed for the door, cane in hand. Jennifer thought, I've explained myself countless times, but nobody ever listens, and honestly, I'm tired of compromising. I used to care about family and keeping the peace, but now, I'm done with that nonsense. Why should I be tolerant and give in like I did before? Sarah pretended to be guilty and looked at Daniel. Did I do something wrong? Did I upset Jennifer again? Daniel quickly reassured her, no, Sarah, you haven't. Amanda, could you fetch the first aid kit? Amanda said, I guess I should help Ms. Hargreaves get out of here, since she's having such a hard time moving. With that, Amanda hurried away. Asher surveyed the wreckage of the dining room, his headache loud and clear intensifying. He was beginning to regret bringing Jennifer back into their lives. This chaos was overwhelming. Sarah said softly, her eyes filled with concern, your head is pounding again, isn't it? Thank goodness the medicinal soup didn't spill. Drink some, it might help, Daniel said. Asher, honestly, I think the soup is the only reason your headache feels a bit better. It has nothing to do with Jennifer. Asher took a deep breath, staring down at the bowl of soup Sarah had made with uncertainty. He lifted the bowl to his lips, hoping the soothing warmth would ease his mind. He hadn't slept a wink last night, and that was truly a torment. The moment Jennifer stepped out of the Hargreaves villa, she felt an immense weight lift off her shoulders. The air felt fresher, the sun a bit brighter. She couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. Suddenly, Amanda burst out of the house after her, holding something in her hand. Wait, Ms. Hargreaves. Here, take this card, she said, loud and clear, extending a bank card toward Jennifer. Confusion lined Jennifer's face. What are you doing? I'm not in need of money. Amanda shot back, urgency spilling from her voice. Don't be ridiculous. I know, Mr. Daniel Hargreaves cut off your credit card. That's just cruel. You're a member of the Hargreaves family. Why should you live like a common maid? Sarah's manipulations have pushed you out, and now you're stuck living with that dangerous Timothy. At the mention of Timothy, Jennifer felt a mix of frustration and amusement. Amanda, please keep the card. I'm not struggling financially. The Clark family is more than capable of taking care of me. Furrowing her brow, Amanda insisted, Ms. Hargreaves, I'm just worried about you. I've heard whispers that Timothy has ties to the mafia. He could snap without a second thought. Living with him is like walking straight into the lion's den. Jennifer couldn't help but chuckle at the overblown fear surrounding Timothy. It seems the world really misunderstands him, she mused. But she knew trying to explain herself would be futile. Amanda was set in her beliefs. Amanda, I promise I'll look after myself. You don't need to worry about me, she said gently. Loud and clear, but Ms. Hargreaves, how will you manage on your own? Let me come with you to the Clark family. I can't just leave you to fend for yourself. Jennifer said earnestly, Amanda, I need you to stay with the Hargreaves family as my eyes and ears. If I hope to leave here safely and regain everything that's rightfully mine, I need you to keep me informed. With a reluctant nod, Amanda seemed to understand, though her expression was still laden with concern. With her cane in hand, Jennifer took one last look at the villa before making her way down the path. She knew hailing a cab was a lost cause here, and the bus stop would be quite the trek. As she hobbled along, lost in her thoughts, a familiar honking sound broke through the air. Turning around, she spotted Asher's car pulling up. He leaned over from the passenger seat and called out, Get in. It's too hard to find a taxi around here. From the back seat, Daniel rolled down the window, his tone laced with irritation. Asher, Sarah needs to go to the hospital. Don't worry about Jennifer. She has enough of a backbone to manage on her own. Jennifer felt her patience slip away. Seriously, what's this loud and clear guy's problem? Just then, a voice came with another honk. Ms. Hargreaves, Mr. Clark has arrived to pick you up. Please get in the car. Write your comment. Gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought. Chapter 35. Back her up. Jennifer looked up just in time to see a sleek black luxury car pull up across the street. Eric stepped out and waved at her from the sidewalk. Jennifer's gaze drifted to the back seat of the car parked nearby. The windows were tinted so heavily that all she could make out was a vague silhouette. She knew it was Timothy. For some reason, her mood lifted instantly. She nodded, about to head over, when the car suddenly made a U-turn and stopped right in front of her. The window rolled down, revealing Timothy's chiseled features. He turned his head slightly to look at her. Jennifer's heart began to race uncontrollably as her eyes met his. She hadn't expected him to show up, but here he was. Jennifer, you can't go with him, Asher said urgently as soon as he saw Timothy. A sense of foreboding washed over him. Back her up, he quickly got out of his own car and moved to Jennifer, grabbing her hand. Come on, I'll take you to school. But Jennifer stood her ground and pulled her hand away. Jennifer, don't be difficult. I'll take you to school so we don't have to bother Mr. Clark. He's a busy man after all. Let's not disturb him, Asher said firmly, his tone leaving no room for argument. He slipped his arm around hers, half coaxing, half threatening. Come on, you're going to be late. Jennifer resisted. Asher, let go of me. Jennifer, I'm doing this for your own good. Asher wasn't about to let her get close to Timothy. But suddenly, more than a dozen black-clad bodyguards appeared out of nowhere, surrounding Asher. Timothy's cold voice cut through the tension. She said she doesn't want to go with you. Let her go. Asher's expression turned grim as he took in the sight of the armed guards. He looked at Jennifer, his eyes tinged with a warning. Jennifer, even when you're throwing a tantrum, there should be a limit. Jennifer met his gaze with a mocking smile. Back her up, then consider me someone without limits. Let go, or you'll get hurt. Daniel stormed over, fury written all over his face. Jennifer, what the hell is your problem? Who do you think you are, speaking to Asher like that? But before Daniel could get any closer, one of the bodyguards threw a quick punch, sending him sprawling to the ground. He stayed there, unable to move for a good few seconds. Enough. Sarah rushed over, hurrying to Daniel's side. Daniel, are you okay? Jennifer, if you have any grudge, take it out on me. Asher and Daniel are innocent in all of this. Daniel struggled to his feet, looking disheveled. Jennifer, if you think you can take me down with those bodyguards, go ahead. I dare you. Asher was shocked that the bodyguards had actually laid hands on Daniel. Moreover, those guards were armed. He adjusted his demeanor and looked at Jennifer, his voice softening. Jennifer, you see how things are with Timothy. Coming with me is the best choice for you. Jennifer's voice was ice cold. What's best for me is for me to back her up, decide. Asher, not you. She wrenched herself free from his grip and walked toward Timothy. Asher watched her go, his head pounding with frustration. Jennifer, you'll regret this. Without a second glance, Jennifer climbed into the car. She wouldn't regret her decision. Not for a second. Timothy glanced at her, then nodded at the driver. Drive. The car sped off, leaving the chaos behind. Sarah rushed to Asher's side, feigning concern. Asher, are you all right? Asher, still reeling, glanced at Eric. My sister's temper has always been a bit difficult. If she's caused any trouble, I hope Mr. Clark can forgive her. I can come and fetch her anytime. Eric waved off Asher's comment. Mr. Asher Hargreaves, I think Ms. Hargreaves has quite a bit of restraint. If she seems angry, maybe it's because of everything you've put her through. With a sarcastic remark, Eric left with those bodyguards trailing behind him. Sarah felt a mix of fear and shock as she replayed the scene in her mind. The extravagance of it all was almost too much to take in. Back her upus, she watched Jennifer get into the luxury car, a pang of jealousy twisted in her chest. She mused, if it had been me who got engaged to Timothy instead of Jennifer, all of this would be mine, wouldn't it? Why does Jennifer deserve all of this? Asher, meanwhile, was clutching his head, a splitting headache taking over. He grabbed Sarah's hand, his face etched with pain. My head's killing me. Do you have any more of that medicinal soup you made? He couldn't shake the feeling that the soup hadn't done a thing for him. If anything, his headache had only gotten worse. Rate your comment 1. Are gifts kicked out of the wealthy family for brought decent guy? Sarah felt a flutter of panic, but there was no way she'd admit that her medicinal soup hadn't worked. Not a chance. Supporting Asher, she said, Asher, do you think you might be getting worse because of Jennifer? Maybe she upset you so much your condition flared up. Daniel, hobbling over with his injuries, chimed in, Asher, I think you definitely got worse because of Jennifer. She's the reason you're like this. Daniel thought it was all Jennifer's fault. Asher opened his mouth to say something, but before he could get a word out, everything went dark and he fainted. Jennifer sat in the car, glancing sideways at the man next to her. She was curious, thinking, what is he doing here? Timothy, noticing her gaze, looked slightly uncomfortable. What are you staring at? Jennifer coughed nervously. Well, what brings you here? Just passing by. A decent guy, she thought. That doesn't make sense. This isn't even the CBD. Eric, sitting in the front passenger seat, interjected, Mr. Clark came specifically to pick you up. Surprised, Jennifer turned to Timothy, confusion written all over her face. Timothy deliberately kept his expression stern. Don't overthink it. It's because of Grandma. Madam Clark sent you to get me. There's a family gathering tonight and you're coming with me. Jennifer nodded. All right. She breathed a small sigh of relief, thinking, so that's why Timothy came to get me. It's all for Madame Clark's sake. Just a show for her benefit. Silence settled in the car again. Jennifer's phone began buzzing incessantly in her bag. She didn't need to check to know who it was. She didn't want to answer. With a swift motion, Jennifer switched her phone to silent and stared out the window at the passing scenery. Decent guy. Soon, the car came to a stop outside her school. Timothy spoke in his usual calm, detached tone. I'll be back to pick you up after school. Be ready. I got it. Thanks for coming to get me today. Jennifer thought Timothy was actually a pretty decent guy, even if she didn't fully understand why he never bothered to defend himself against the accusations thrown his way. She stole another glance at him. His handsome, icy expression made him seem untouchable, like he was surrounded by an invisible keep out sign. Leaning on her cane, Jennifer slowly made her way toward the school entrance. Timothy watched her retreating figure, small but undeniably strong. Eric broke the silence. Mr. Clark, I think Ms. Hargreaves has it pretty rough. Her brother treats her terribly. When she went back to the Hargreaves villa yesterday, she was probably forced. Timothy tore his gaze away. You talk too much. Drive. After arriving at the classroom, Jennifer settled into her seat and opened her book, determination shining in her eyes. Decent guy, she thought, I've wasted too much time on my brothers before. It's time to reclaim all that lost time. I could even discover a treatment for Timothy's condition, something that could repair the nerves in his legs. Then he would be able to stand again. Madame Clark would surely be pleased. In my previous life, she treated me well, but I let her down because of the Hargreaves family. Not long after, Sarah entered the classroom, a model clutched in her hands. As Vincent walked in, she promptly handed it to him. Professor Moore, this is the model I worked on all night. He examined it briefly before responding, just set it down. While your brother led the incident, you share the responsibility in this matter. I hope we don't have a repeat of this scenario. Vincent felt a twinge of discomfort, suspecting that most of Sarah's models were actually Jennifer's handiwork. But without solid proof and given the family dynamics at play, he didn't feel it was his place to pry. Sarah's expression faltered, and she lowered her gaze. I understand. Decent guy. Vincent then turned to Jennifer, a smile breaking through his earlier frustration. Jennifer, about that suggestion you made yesterday, I looked into it and it actually solved the problem. You've done great work. I can't wait to see your contributions to the project. Jennifer nodded appreciatively. I'll do my best, Professor Moore. Meanwhile, Sarah watched Jennifer from her seat, jealousy simmering beneath her composed surface. Damn it. This should have been my moment. Lately, Jennifer has changed so much, becoming something I never used to be, unpredictable and beyond my control. After class, Jennifer headed straight to the study room, her mind focused on her goals. Sarah, lingering behind, took out her phone and messaged Daniel. Daniel, I've jotted down some lyrics for the new song. Can you take a look? Daniel quickly responded, surprise filling his tone. This is pretty good, Sarah. You've really improved. Way to go. Sarah, thanks, Daniel. I'm aiming to write a song that'll wow everyone. I really don't want to see you looking so stressed out. Daniel beamed, saying, Sarah, you're really stepping up. Unlike decent guy, some people who just manage to annoy me with a smile. Sarah replied, Daniel, I'm part of the Hargreaves family too. This is just what I'm supposed to do. He added, still, you must have more in store for that song, right? I can't wait to hear the rest. Sarah's smile faltered slightly at his words. This was the handwritten draft she had found in Jennifer's room. She hadn't expected it to be incomplete. Be right your comment. Kicked out of the wealthy family for brought given, Sarah was in a tight spot thanks to Daniel. There was no turning back now. Gritting her teeth, she said, I'll finish writing it. In her mind, she was already plotting. I'm going to take everything that belongs to Jennifer. By the time this song is produced, even if Jennifer discovers the truth, no one will believe her. After Daniel hung up, he stared at the song and still couldn't shake the feeling that it wasn't safe enough. The last song Sarah had written for him had flopped miserably. He needed to be more careful this time, especially with the tight deadline for his new album. Daniel's agent chimed in, Mr. Daniel Hargreaves, why not ask Ms. Hargreaves for her new song? The last one she wrote was a huge hit. This one is bound to be a success too. Daniel scoffed. Don't even mention it. My sister's still mad at me and using the song to hold me hostage. She won't get the satisfaction of seeing me cave in. Daniel wasn't about to give in. Given the agent pulled out his phone, we can always reach out to someone else. I saw that Jesse's looking for collaborations lately. That song of his is pretty good. Let me see. Daniel glanced at the song and was immediately impressed. This is great. It fits the vibe I'm going for with this album. Contact Jesse's agent. Money's not an issue. In his mind, he thought, I'm not using Jennifer's song, no matter what. I don't need her to make music. Jennifer was in the study room, engrossed in her book, when her phone rang. It was Jesse. Stepping outside, she spoke quietly, Mr. Martin, do you have news? The song you wrote is getting a lot of attention. There are a few deals in the works. But Daniel's agent also reached out to me. Doesn't he know the song is yours? Jesse was confused, which was why he'd called Jennifer directly to confirm. Jennifer was equally surprised. After a moment's thought, she said, I'll collaborate with anyone given except Daniel. She thought, I chose to work with Jesse precisely because I didn't want to give the song to Daniel. The fact that Daniel's now reaching out to Jesse tells me he's not happy with Sarah's work and is looking elsewhere. Jesse hesitated before asking, Ms. Hargreaves, have you really fallen out with your family? Yes, who I choose to work with is my decision. Don't worry about Daniel. He's got money, he can buy any song he wants. Alright, I was just asking. Jennifer hung up, a smile appearing on her face. She was genuinely curious whether Daniel would end up using Sarah's song. Later that evening, Jennifer received a message from Timothy, come outside. Glancing at the time, she realized how late it had gotten. Hurriedly gathering her things, she messaged him back, sorry, I lost track of time while studying. I'll be right out. Leaning on her cane, Jennifer made her way outside the school and spotted Timothy's car parked by the curb. Taking a deep breath, she approached the car. Sorry for making you wait. Considering Timothy's personality, Jennifer doubted he enjoyed waiting for people. Eric stepped forward, ever polite. No worries. We only just got here. Ms. Hargreaves, let me take your cane. With Eric offering her a way out, Jennifer felt a wave of relief. Once she was settled in the car, Jennifer turned her head to look at Timothy sitting next to her. Wait, when we get to the banquet, is there anything specific you need me to do or be mindful of? Truth be told, this was her first time attending a Clark family dinner. Although she and Timothy had been engaged for a while, they hadn't interacted much. Most of the time, Jennifer had been keeping company with Angelina, rarely seeing the rest of the Clark family. Everyone knew that her engagement to Timothy was nothing more than a business arrangement, a way to keep Angelina happy. No one truly acknowledged her as Timothy's wife. In fact, Jennifer found it a bit strange, thinking, Timothy is actually willing to bring me to the family dinner. This never happened in my previous life. Could it be because I approached him first and now things are changing in unexpected ways? Timothy's tone was cold and to the point. All you need to do is play the part of Mrs. Clark and keep Grandma happy. Jennifer nodded, understanding what was expected of her. It wasn't much different from what she had to do in her previous life, after all. As Jennifer organized her backpack, one of the documents slipped out and landed near Timothy's feet. Her heart was in her mouth. Oh no, he can't see that, she thought, panic rising. Write your comment. Kicked out of the wealthy family for brought. Get to me. Jennifer's heart raced with anxiety as she quickly leaned over to grab the document. But Timothy was faster. He beat her to it, his hand already reaching down to pick it up, and her entire body tensed up. Oh no, what if he suspects something? That I have an ulterior motive, she thought, her pulse quickening. Timothy glanced at the papers, seeing that they were references to nerve regeneration, specifically related to leg injuries. His eyebrows furrowed slightly in surprise. He flipped through the pages slowly, his expression unreadable. I remember your major in college was design, not medicine, Timothy said coolly, his tone laced with curiosity. He was puzzled, thinking, why would she, of all people, be reading about something so specific and something that just so happened to align perfectly with my current condition? Jennifer swallowed hard, forcing a smile as she replied, yes, but I've always had an interest in pharmacology. I occasionally read up on it. I even considered pursuing a double major at one point, but I never followed through. The car fell into a heavy silence after her explanation. Get to me. Jennifer's heart thudded in her chest. She thought, he hates when people bring up his leg. What if he gets angry? To her surprise, Timothy didn't explode in anger. Instead, he handed her the documents. Keep these papers hidden. Don't let Grandma see them. Jennifer blinked, taken aback. She mused, is that all? He didn't lose his temper. Timothy's gaze was sharp as he looked at her, his eyes narrowing slightly. Is there something else you want to say? Jennifer quickly averted her eyes, nodding. I understand. I won't let Madam Clark see them. She thought, of course. Timothy's legs are paralyzed due to nerve damage. If his grandmother saw this research, it would break her heart. As Jennifer carefully tucked the papers away, she couldn't help but feel that Timothy was different from the rumors she'd heard about him. After a moment of hesitation, she turned to Timothy again. Your legs, is there really no hope at all? Get to me. The temperature in the car seemed to drop instantly. Eric, sitting in the front passenger seat, glanced back nervously, holding his breath for Timothy's response. No one ever dared to bring up Timothy's disability so openly. Jennifer could feel the shift in Timothy's mood. His expression grew colder, and his narrowed eyes held a depth of pain that was hard to fathom. Timothy replied, his voice dripping with sarcasm, are you disappointed? Did you suddenly realize that having a disabled fiancé is embarrassing? Too bad. My legs aren't getting better. You'll just have to live with the disappointment. Jennifer shook her head quickly, her voice firm. That's not what I meant. I just think that with how fast medical science is advancing, maybe one day they'll find a way to repair nerve damage. It's not impossible. She wasn't just trying to comfort him. In her previous life, Jennifer had worked in Dylan's lab and successfully developed a drug that could regenerate nerves. It had been possible. At least, it was in her past life. However, the side effects had been severe. Dylan had shamelessly taken her work and credited Sarah with the achievement. Sarah had needed the accolade to complete her Ph.D. So get to me. Jennifer had been forced to hand over her hard-earned research. Before she could refine the drug into a safer, more effective version, Jennifer had died. That afternoon, Jennifer had been poring over books on the subject, determined to build upon her past research. She aimed to create a new version of the drug, one with reduced side effects and greater potency. Timothy glanced down at his numb legs with a sarcastic smile. This isn't something that's easily done. Ever since his injury, the Clark family had scoured the globe for a cure, consulting every specialist and trying every experimental treatment available. Over the years, he had come to accept the harsh reality of his paralyzed legs. A heavy silence settled in the car. From the front seat, Eric glanced back at the couple. Ms. Hargreaves, I truly believe that one day, someone will develop a drug to repair nerve damage. The Clark family has even set up a specialized lab for it. I'm confident that Mr. Clark will get the chance to walk again. Timothy shot Eric a warning look. You talk too much. Jennifer smiled and nodded. I agree. I believe that day will get to me come, and it might not be too far off. Timothy's gaze lingered on Jennifer's calm, unblemished profile. I don't need your fancy words of comfort. He had heard it all before, the empty promises, the vague hopes. But Jennifer only offered a sly, knowing smile. This isn't just comfort, I assure you. It's the truth. There was no pity in her eyes, only certainty, as if she already knew, without a shadow of a doubt, that a cure was out there. Her confidence was like a slap in the face to Timothy's own cynicism. Timothy quickly looked away, saying nothing. His eyes drifted to the passing scenery outside the window, but his fist clenched tightly in his lap. Despite his outward calm, his inner peace was shattered. Timothy thought, strange. Why am I letting the words of this girl get to me? Write your comment. Kicked out of the wealthy family, for brought she was on her own. The car pulled up in front of Clark Manor, standing majestically on the hillside. Clark Manor had been around for centuries. It loomed over the landscape like a silent sentinel, watching over generations of the Clark family with a wisdom and authority that demanded respect. Jennifer had heard that the manor employed over 1,000 servants. Every heir of the Clark family had lived there, but due to Timothy's leg injury, the matter of inheritance had become uncertain. Timothy's uncle, along with his cousin, also resided in the manor. Jennifer gazed at the imposing manor, feeling a strange mix of awe and intimidation. It wasn't a place to be taken lightly. A sudden wave of nervousness hit her. This was the first time she'd accompanied Timothy through the main entrance. In the past, she had always entered through a smaller side door. The car came to a stop and Timothy got off in his wheelchair. Jennifer, leaning on her cane, walked beside him. Memories she was on her own, Timothy's uncle, Acacius Clark, and his family's behavior from her previous life flooded her mind. She felt a knot of anxiety tighten in her stomach. What if someone causes trouble for me at the banquet? She asked nervously. Jennifer remembered all too well how Acacius and his family were not to be trifled with. They made no secret of their desire to take over everything once Timothy was gone. His cousin, Sandy Clark, had always been particularly sarcastic whenever they crossed paths. Timothy's reply was cold and detached. If you've chosen to be engaged to me, you should already know how to handle the Clark family. Jennifer immediately bit her tongue, thinking, he's right. Why am I expecting him to shield me from everything? Eric, who had been standing nearby, chimed in reassuringly, Ms. Hargreaves, don't worry too much. As long as Madam Clark is present, no one will dare openly mistreat you. Just relax. Jennifer shot him a skeptical look. So you're saying they won't mistreat me in the open, but they might still do it behind the scenes? Her nerves only worsened. Jennifer made up her mind then and there. During the banquet, she would keep her head down and try to be as invisible as she was on her own possible. Together, she and Timothy made their way into the grand hall. The sounds of chatter and laughter filled the air. Jennifer looked up and spotted Acacius and his family sitting comfortably on the couches, laughing and talking as if they didn't have a care in the world. Millie Clark, Timothy's mother, sat on the side, a look of awkwardness on her face. The butler announced, "Mr. Clark and Mrs. Clark have arrived." The room fell into an eerie silence as if Timothy's presence was unexpected or unwanted. Jennifer had heard rumors that Timothy's injury might have been connected to Acacius. It wasn't uncommon for power struggles within wealthy families to turn ugly. Millie, looking pleasantly surprised, approached her son. "Timothy, what brings you home today?" It was rare for him to attend family gatherings, after all. But no one dared question him, not with Angelina backing him up. She was on her own. Timothy's expression remained calm as he replied, "It's a family banquet. Of course, I'd come." Millie beamed with joy. "I'm glad you're here. It's been too long since I've seen you." Jennifer, standing beside Timothy, offered a polite smile to Millie, but Millie completely ignored her. Jennifer wasn't offended. Jennifer knew Millie disapproved of her, thinking her to be of lower status and unworthy of Timothy. But Angelina's will was law, and Millie had no choice but to accept the engagement. Every time Jennifer had visited the Clark manor in her previous life, Millie had treated her coldly. As Timothy and Jennifer moved forward, Acacius greeted them with a polite yet somewhat insincere smile. "Timothy, it's about time you decided to join us for a meal. It's not every day we get the chance to see you, after all. You're a hard man to pin down." Timothy remained cold and silent, offering no response to Acacius' earlier comment. Not that it mattered to Acacius. He didn't seem to mind the lack of reply, instead turning his attention to Jennifer with a warm, almost overly friendly smile. "You should really encourage Timothy to come home more often. We don't want his grandmother to worry about him, do we?" She was on her own. Mary Clark, Acacius' wife, gave Jennifer a once-over, her eyes dripping with sarcasm. "Ms. Hargreaves, I must say, it's quite something that you managed to hurt your leg even though Timothy's mobility is already limited. As his fiancé, how are we supposed to trust you to take care of him?" The mention of Timothy's legs instantly changed the atmosphere. Millie's expression hardened. Her son had always been her greatest source of pride, but now, the mere mention of his disability was like a dagger to her heart. Before Jennifer could respond, Sandy chimed in, a smug look on her face. "Oh, Mom, did you know? Jennifer once told the media that it was perfect for them to be disabled as a couple." Millie's eyes flashed with anger as she shot to her feet, glaring at Jennifer. "Did you really say that? How dare you?" Jennifer was caught off guard by Millie's outburst. She instinctively looked to Timothy for help, but he remained expressionless, offering no assistance. Of course, Jennifer realized quickly that she was on her own. "Write your comment TR gifts. Cause trouble." Jennifer could only muster a strained smile as she replied, "I was just joking. I didn't mean anything by it." The reporters had been so aggressive, and at that moment, she had simply wanted to deflect their pressure with humor. Millie shot back, her voice sharp with indignation. "What do you mean, didn't mean anything? You know my son is different from others. Did you really have to bring up his pain in front of the reporters? Is this how a fiancé should behave?" Millie's chest heaved with anger, and she continued, "From the very beginning, I never approved of your engagement to my son. Someone with your character doesn't deserve him." Jennifer found herself at a loss for words. She had no malicious intent, she had merely reacted to the questioning with a poorly timed joke. Reporters, and Angelina interjected, trying to ease the tension. "Come on, Millie. Timothy finally brings his fiancée home, and you're making a scene. Can we not overreact?" With Angelina's arrival, everyone stood up in respect. Mary walked over warmly, taking Angelina's hand. "Angelina, we were just chatting. I didn't realize Millie would get so worked, cause trouble up." Millie glared at Mary. "Your daughter started it by making that inappropriate comment. How dare she bring up my son's struggles in public?" "Millie, Sandy was just stating the facts. Jennifer did say that in front of the reporters. It was just a joke, and who knew you'd take it so seriously?" Mary shot back, her tone sharp. Millie trembled with fury, feeling cornered by Mary's words. She always seemed to lose these verbal battles, and today was no different. Angelina, settling onto the sofa, smiled at Jennifer. "Come sit beside me, dear. I want to keep an eye on you." Jennifer slowly made her way over with her cane. Angelina took Jennifer's hand with genuine concern. "What happened to your foot? You really need to be more careful." "Oh, I just tripped on the stairs at a party and ended up with a fracture," Jennifer replied nonchalantly. Hearing Angelina's concern made Jennifer lower her head. Sandy, ever eager to stir the pot, chimed in with a smirk. I doubt it was just a simple trip. I heard your fourth brother pushed you down the stairs to teach you a lesson. Word had spread around the Hargreaves family that Sarah, the cause-trouble-favored sister, had eclipsed Jennifer. Jennifer maintained her composure as she replied, you must have misunderstood. I fell because I tripped, plain and simple. Stop lying. Everyone knows you were plotting against Sarah at the party. Daniel pushed you down the stairs to make you feel what it's like. We all know it, Sandy exclaimed, her voice rising. Jennifer remained unfazed. Just because there are rumors doesn't make them true. I'm surprised you're so quick to believe what others say. That could come back to bite you. In the past, such accusations would have sent Jennifer into a fury, but now she felt indifferent to the opinions of the Hargreaves family. Sandy's attempts to provoke her fell flat. Angelina noticed Jennifer's calm demeanor and gently patted her hand. Jennifer, I believe you. Sandy, feeling frustrated and overlooked, declared loudly, Grandma, Jennifer made that ridiculous comment in front of the reporters about Timothy being in a wheelchair, saying they should all embrace their perfectly imperfect family. Hearing Sandy's complaint, Jennifer sighed, knowing this woman would stop at nothing to undermine her. She looked at Angelina, exasperated. The reporters were being outrageous. I was just trying to poke fun and show a little love caused trouble for Timothy. I didn't mean to offend anyone. Angelina nodded knowingly. I understand, my dear. You handled it just right. I trust you. Sandy's frustration boiled over. Grandma, how can you overlook the way Jennifer's been mocking Timothy's injury? You're so biased. Angelina's gaze turned sharp as she replied, Sandy, this is between Jennifer and Timothy. If he hasn't taken offense, who are you to cast judgment? I've seen Jennifer stick up for Timothy, even in front of the press. Honestly, I don't think her joke warrants such a fuss. Angelina understood the situation all too well. When she heard Jennifer's words, she felt a surge of pride. At least Jennifer wasn't afraid or ashamed of her grandson. It was a promising sign. Sandy was about to protest again, but Mary gave a subtle shake of her head, signaling for Sandy to drop it. Angelina stood firmly behind Jennifer, especially since Jennifer had recently moved in with Timothy. The warmth in her heart was palpable. Anyone who dared to speak ill of Jennifer would face her wrath. Mary chimed in, eager to smooth things over. Angelina, you're caused trouble. Absolutely right. Sandy just doesn't understand what's going on. She means well. She's trying to look out for Timothy. Millie huffed derisively, and how do we know Sandy isn't just parroting someone else's opinion? She seems to have a habit of that. Mary waved off Millie's comment. Millie, you're misunderstanding me. I'm not trying to cause any trouble here. Since everyone's gathered, let's just eat. Ignoring Millie entirely, Mary moved forward, assisting Angelina as they walked ahead. Millie was left behind, simmering in resentment. Jennifer leaned on her cane as she trailed behind with Timothy. Just then, Sandy approached with a hostile glare and without hesitation, shouldered past Jennifer, intentionally shoving her. Caught off guard, Jennifer stumbled, her body tilting dangerously toward the ground.